Nobody does that when they go to bed anymore.
I mean, he's got Theo Von's mullet in one. Meanwhile, he's got my hair not shaved in 3 days in the bottom right there.
Do you think anybody
that looks like a 50s sitcom?
Do you think anybody wears those kind of pajamas anymore?
No.
The button up in the pants.
I'll throw the bottoms on occasionally, like for
maybe Wimp Sanderson.
I'll throw the bottoms on. I got 3 pair of bottoms to watch games in with a T-shirt.
Well, yeah, that's just lounging around the house. I'm talking about going to bed in pajamas like that.
No, I'm less than more. Yes.
I would sweat through the bed in those things.
I feel like you need like the little nightcap if you're wearing this kind of thing.
I'll tell you though, I decided to cut the heat off. It got a little hot last night. I cut it off. I woke up this morning. What do you think it was in the house?
62?
I'm going to say
56.
Woo!
Yeah, it did go down to 28 last night.
That's bad even for me.
Yeah, I could have used the PJs in that one. I woke up, I was like, holy heck, man, what has happened here? Can you imagine being this chick's wife or husband?
Yep.
She leaves you, takes $1 million of your dollars.
Gives it a fake Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's bad.
I don't buy all those stories. That is Trash Today, brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right.
They are your mortgage experts, no cost or obligation, just to reach out and see what you might qualify for. Again, you can get more information. Go to their website, mortgageright.com. You can call 205-900-7200. It's our friends at Mortgage Right.
Our dash to the end here, brought to you by our friends at Champy's Chicken as well. The fine folks at Champy's, Sterling and the crew there will help you with lunch and dinner and all your tailgating and parties and all the stuff you need to do as we roll through another year in 2025. He's on Highway 119, 11 years there, 119 in Alabaster. Sterling and his crew there with that brined overnight, cooked to order, deep fried chicken with no extra greenery in your bag when you take it away from Champy's Chicken. Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, all the great sides and more. It's champyschicken.com. Let's see. NFL news. David Montgomery looks like he's going to return. It was only a walkthrough, but he was a full participant yesterday for the Lions. At one point, he was thought to have a season-ending knee injury, but he has battled back through rehab.
Well, look, as good as Gibbs has been, change of pace, Montgomery can do so many different things for this offense. And you know, I would say sarcastically, it's all they need is another weapon, but there's a chance Detroit in this postseason is going to have to outscore their opponents.
I think I saw this correctly. Another thing on Twitter, I should have favorited so I could bring it to the show. The only 2 quarterbacks in NFL history that have quarterbacked a game where they've had 0 turnovers and 0 punts in the playoffs were Peyton Manning and Jaden Daniels. It's hard to believe it's only 2, but I saw that stat. They did not punt against your Buccaneers, apparently, or turn it over.
Oh, I know. We did not play well.
Well, I mean, crap. It took a field goal banged off the upright for him to win it.
Yeah, I think this is too tall of an ask for the Commanders.
Agree. But he ain't going anywhere, I don't think.
I will say this, though. If whoever wins the Rams-Eagles game is going to beat Detroit.
Detroit.
Yep.
I did not see the Tiger version of the TGL last night. I saw some highlights. Looked like they were having a good time.
Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com. Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Brown Live. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Here we go, live show now on a Thursday, the Next Round. Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, I'm Jim Dunaway behind the glass. You got Tyler, you got Forrester, Melton will be here in a second. Taylor Korn handling everything social media at Next Round Live. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. EG's covering everything on the SEC front for us as we get ready for another weekend of SEC basketball, and some people sweating the NFL announcement for the draft. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. A couple of stars staying, a couple of stars leaving, And we'll get to the NFL playoffs as well and some basketball. But let's start with the national championship game in football because we're getting close to that game coming up on Monday night. Before we hear from the two quarterbacks in this game, I want to ask this question off the top. And I know the easy answer is whoever wins on Monday night.
Ohio State.
Yeah. But
You're calling it.
And by the way, ex-Notre Dame people, we talked about Malik Zaire yesterday, and I know we'll get to a former coach here in a little bit. But
Joe Theismann's talking to. A lot of people are out talking.
Boy, they are just not doing any favors for Notre Dame.
No,
I don't get it.
I think the answer is Marcus Freeman here, but in reality, who has done the best job this year, Ryan Day or Marcus Freeman?
Oh, I would say Marcus Freeman. When you lose at home after such a high-profile Week 1 game, going on the road to College Station, grinding out a win there, and then coming back and losing as a 3-touchdown-plus favorite against Northern Illinois to regroup everybody and to win 13 consecutive games, I would say it's Notre Dame. I understand Ryan Day's had a lot of pressure, but Ryan Day's got multiple losses with a $20 million roster.
He does, but he also picked his team up off the canvas after one of the most disappointing losses I can remember in college football and has played some of the most dominant football I can also remember in college football. I mean, to go from – I don't know if you guys agree with me. That is one of the most disappointing losses I can remember with everything Ohio State had on that game, to get to the Big Ten championship game, to play for a 1 seed, to break finally – the drought against Michigan on one of the worst Michigan teams we've seen in quite a while, and have that game at home. That was one of the most disappointing losses I can remember in quite a while. And he picked his team up from that, and they have played some of the best football I have seen in a very, very long time.
No, I get it, but it's easier to pick your team up with that kind of talent. And I'm not saying Notre Dame doesn't have that kind of talent. It just feels different. I just think Marcus Freeman with out of nowhere. This was expected. I think you had Ohio State. I had Ohio State winning the national championship. I mean, this is where we thought they would be.
It is. But I guess the reason I brought up the question is because of what Brown is talking about. I mean, the Northern Illinois loss was way back in September, and he has done a masterful job to get them where they are. But to pick your guys up after that loss and go right into the playoffs against a pretty good Tennessee team and look the way they have looked in this. I mean, Ryan Day's done a good job. We won't give him,
but Ryan Day's put himself in this situation.
He is. We won't give him as much credit because of the talent he has, but they have done, and sometimes it's internal. Maybe it is not Ryan Day. Maybe it's Jack Sawyer and Will Howard and those guys internally. Maybe they've done it as a group. Maybe they've Sean Alexandered this thing up.
Well, they've got good leaders. I mean, when you look at that team, and that's what's kind of baffling, and you would we talked about this yesterday. I don't blame the first loss on Ohio State. That was a really good Oregon team. It was on the road. It was a great back-and-forth 1-point game. But when you look at what happened against Michigan, that was like coaching malpractice, and we talked about it. They just got so conservative, and they played scared. And, when you really look at this team, Jack Sawyer's an incredible leader, a guy that's been there since day one. Will Howard able to transfer in and take this team over, and you can see how he is a natural leader on the sideline. So they've got all of the good parts here. It's just that one hiccup, which was Michigan.
And I guess for Notre Dame it was the one hiccup. I don't know which one. This sounds stupid to say. I guess the less forgivable one is losing to Northern Illinois. That's the less forgivable loss, right?
Yeah.
I know that's a pretty bad Michigan team.
I
you were playing them at home, and you had every reason.
I mean, we say it's a pretty bad Michigan team.
It is.
But I mean, with their backups, they beat a fully loaded Alabama team.
Yeah, that's a bowl game.
Still a very good Michigan defense. Not a great team overall. I mean, Michigan's really good defense.
It is. It's a really good defense. It's not a very good football team.
Let me ask you this. If Ohio State, if Ryan Day went back, they played Michigan, and he called a different game.
And they dominate Michigan?
No, they would, right? I mean, that's my point. If Ryan Day and Chip Kelly were more aggressive against Michigan, they win the game going away.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I don't know. I mean, I guess all that would change is you would have destroyed Oregon in the Big Ten championship game.
The perspective on this team would be completely different.
There's no doubt about that. But you would have destroyed Oregon on the in the Big Ten championship game. You'd have gotten the 1 seed, and you would have had an even. Well, I guess they would end up playing Oregon again in the Rose Bowl, right? So you'd have had 3 total games against Oregon, and they're probably 2 for 2.
I think the season would feel a lot different, though. If you had a one-loss Ohio State team, their one loss was to Oregon by a point, I think it would go back to the conversation we had yesterday where who put together their best playoff teams of all time? Was it Chip Brown?
It was Chip Patterson.
Chip Patterson.
Yeah.
I think you would put this team in that conversation.
I think probably so. You'd be in the mix.
I think that would be the difference if they would have beaten Michigan.
All right, Tyler, let's hear from a couple of the quarterbacks here as we get going today. Before we do that, World of Wills brings us this wonderful part of the show as we talk about the playoffs. It's a wonderful event we have every year as well here.
It is. It is the O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wills, and it is coming to the BJCC. You can go see O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wills and get tickets at any local O'Reilly Auto Parts. When you're there, you're going to see custom classic cars, hot rods, trucks, motorcycles. New this year, the exotic car exhibit. Don't miss the BMX bike stunt team performance. Outrageous stunts live each day. Kids can meet their favorite costume characters, race Hot Wheels on the free Hot Wheels drag track. Worldofwheels.net for all the details. Worldofwheels.net.
All right, so Riley Leonard up first. It is ironic, but it's the world we live in, that both these quarterbacks are one-year guys. But they do seem like they're so Notre Dame and so Ohio State. Like, Will Howard seems as Ohio State as anybody, and Riley Leonard seems as Notre Dame as anybody.
Not that I watched.
And they've all been there just for a beat.
Not that I watched a ton of Riley Leonard at Duke, but you will never think of Riley Leonard in a Duke uniform, will you? I won't. There's zero chance I will.
I mean, I'll have some memories of him.
Give me a memory you've got of Riley Leonard in a Duke uniform.
Well, when they were 4-0, they had Notre Dame dead to rights.
That's what it was actually ironically against Notre Dame.
That one game.
It was 4th and forever. Notre Dame ends up scoring. Riley Leonard's got to come back out. He turns his ankle. He's out.
Yeah, so we've all got the same Riley Leonard memory the night they played Notre Dame, right?
Yep.
Do you think moving forward we'll see more, would you say, every year you will have at least one-year quarterback in this game?
Oof.
Maybe not in this game.
In the championship game, that's asking a lot, but here we are, 2 one-and-doneers.
Because last year in the championship game, you had Michael Penix, who was a transfer. He wasn't a one-year guy.
He was a 2-year guy.
Yeah, lost to J.J. McCarthy, who was recruited and played at Michigan for multiple years.
Or as we like to call him, a dinosaur now.
Yeah.
Here's Riley Leonard about being in the national championship game from Browns Point. When you're leaving Duke, you're packing up that bag and heading to South Bend. Did you ever imagine this is how it was going to be?
But did you think this was attainable when you came to Notre Dame?
Yeah, I absolutely did, and I thought this would happen. That's why I came here. I remember, even my girlfriend, I was talking to her the other day, and a bunch of people were texting her, oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys made it. This is crazy. And even she was like Riley, this isn't that surprising. We expected this. It'd be one thing if, I don't know, I think people get surprised whenever things they don't expect happen in their lives, but when you expect it to happen, it's just we believed this for a long time. So I definitely thought it would be happening.
If you didn't tell me who that was, closed eyes, Bo Nix?
Yeah, I got a little Bo Nix in there. Yeah, a little Bo Nix. Still got that southern drawl from Alabama, just like Bo does.
Fair Hope,
Alabama.
Don't say Mobile, baby.
Who did that?
Just when in that region down there.
Yeah. They know there's a difference. Yeah. There's a bay that separates the two of them.
From down in Mobile. Nope.
Hey, who do you think?
Across the bay, my man.
I do think it's interesting because the old school college football fan, they hate Notre Dame. Now, that's a dying breed. You talk about dinosaurs, but who do you think the majority of people are pulling for in this game?
Notre Dame's the Cinderella.
I think
team.
Marcus Freeman has become that likable coach.
It might be the greatest accomplishment in Marcus Freeman's career is that he has managed to make Notre Dame likable by the masses.
I said we were in the semifinals. I was like, the only coach I can pull for once we get to this point was Marcus Freeman.
No, this is, nobody's going to remember this way, but around the country, 1992 Alabama against that Miami dynasty the nation was cheering for Alabama because Alabama was the Cinderella. They were the under. I don't know how big of an underdog was Alabama. 7-point underdog, but they were the Cinderella story. Alabama hadn't turned into the 17-year beast they would later become under Nick Saban and become the most hated sports franchise in America, probably. That would come later under Nick Saban. That 1992 Alabama was right in the middle of Bear Bryant and Nick Saban, and they had become the likable team against the dynasty that was the Miami Hurricanes, the showboats, the put a little mustard on everything guys, the Heisman Trophy winner. So America was cheering for Alabama that night in the upset. So in a way, Alabama had fallen off to where they could be sort of a Cinderella. Notre Dame's sort of fallen off to where they can be a Cinderella. Wouldn't take a lot for Notre Dame to become the most hated team in football.
I mean, really, for that hated that angle really came from guys that are 60 plus now, probably.
The locally here, you mean?
No, I'm just talking about
some of that. I think actually both. The local hate for Notre Dame is primarily Alabama fans who hated Notre Dame because Bear Bryant couldn't beat them.
But a lot of people don't realize this used to be a really good program, but they haven't won a championship since 1988.
And I think the national hate for Notre Dame is from people who are old enough to remember when Notre Dame was probably the national power and probably got the. I mean, if it was, do we put Notre Dame number one or fill in the blank number one, it was always going to be Notre Dame.
That's right.
And that's why they have a lot of the national hate.
They got the benefit of the doubt every week. When you could only have 2 games on television, you knew Notre Dame was going to have 2. And if there was somehow they could have 3, they would have 3.
Well, they were the SEC back in the day.
Yeah, by themselves.
I mean, that's the perception now is the SEC gets the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
And so Notre Dame was the entity that was one program, but it was almost like the SEC.
But I can't think of a time, and I kind of grew up hating Notre Dame, I'll be honest with you, because I grew up in this state, and a lot of people in this state hated Notre Dame, so I was like, well, why does everybody hate Notre Dame, right? But then I grew up at a time where Notre Dame was among the national powers.
Oh, yeah.
In the 80s, I mean, the Lou Holtz era. I can't remember a time when I've actually liked the Notre Dame coach. I've either disliked the Notre Dame coach or been completely ambivalent about the Notre Dame coach. I can't remember a time I've liked one. I mean, there's not a Notre Dame coach I can say, you know what, I really liked that guy. I either disliked him or just didn't really care one way or the other.
Tell me you saw it last night on social media floating around. It's been out there the last couple of days inside the locker room at halftime of Notre Dame Penn State, Marcus Freeman. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. He gives his guys the halftime speech before they come back out.
Is it a fire and brimstone?
Oh, my God. It is so good.
Is it really?
Yeah,
because it's hard to imagine that guy just peeling paint.
Well, he almost seems uncomfortable still on the sideline when he's getting interviewed.
Oh, no. It is run through the wall. It is Kirby Smart, that one good Kirby Smart one you've seen, that great Nick Saban. Couple of ones at halftime or pregame you've seen of Saban.
Did you actually get off the couch and go walk on the treadmill after hearing this?
I don't have a treadmill.
So new.
Anymore. I think I did.
By the sounds of it, new.
Wait, you said you used it to hang clothes, right?
Yeah. I got a Peloton now. I'm modern, man. I've had a Peloton for a while. Let's hear from the other quarterback, cut number 5 there, Tyler. Will Howard, that guy. He's as Ohio State as they come now. Their weekly press conference yesterday before they head down to Atlanta. Did he expect when he left Kansas State? I do think he expected it. Let's hear how he answers the same question basically Riley got.
Yeah, it's surreal, I think is what you're trying to say. Like, I do have to kind of pinch myself at times and be like, man, yeah, I'm in the national championship, but at the same time, it is where we expected to be, man. And, we got ready for this season saying that, if we were going to come out of it saying it was a success, we were going to have to play 16, 17 games. And here we are, man. And so I'm just proud of our guys that we got to this point. But like I said last week, man, the job's not finished, and it's not finished until we win.
Scott had a clip for us back in, I think it was July, where I think he was in the Manning Passing Academy or whatever, but he said it's natty or bust.
Yeah.
And he said that, so I think that he embraced that early on, and I think that was the plan the entire time. And the amazing thing is we have seen a different Will Howard down the stretch. We've seen a Will Howard that can stretch defenses. Now it helps when you've got a Jeremiah Smith. But Will Howard, I have seen him graded out as the 6th or 7th quarterback to go in this coming draft. And I never thought I would see that. Now, he's big, he's physical, and he's showing he can throw a deep ball. If Skylar Howard can start an NFL game, Will Howard can.
Skylar Thompson?
Skylar Thompson, excuse me.
Well, I mean, it took 2 injuries for Skylar Thompson.
I'm just saying this kid will be on a roster and he'll have opportunities to play.
I don't think Riley Leonard will be. All due respect to Riley.
No.
Really like the kid. He's a state of Alabama kid, so I'm pulling for him. But
can't throw it.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Kyle Trask has sat on that Tampa Bay bench for a long time doing nothing.
Yeah. That's a good living.
It is, but I can't, I don't really watch a ton of preseason football. I can't remember last time I saw Kyle Trask throw a football.
Oh, I mean, if you told me Tampa cut him, I would have believed you. I mean, that guy is.
I'm just assuming he's QB2. Like when Baker gets concussed, I just assume Baker's going to get up and get back out there.
Chase Daniel had the best career.
He did. I was going to bring him up.
I mean, better career, Tom Brady or Chase Daniel?
Well,
oh, come on,
Lance.
I know, but I mean, how nice would it be? I think Chase Daniel started 1 game in his career.
Yeah, his career earnings.
We interviewed him.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Over at the SEC.
He was on the stage with us. The Missouri legend. Very, very nice guy.
Little guy too, right?
Yeah, he's much smaller than you would think.
I mean, he's like a fire plug. He's kind of thick, but
yeah. I think EG was taller than him.
Probably so. No, he made $41.8 million. Chase Daniel did. 14 seasons in the NFL. He's got a Super Bowl ring with the Saints. I mean,
Jim Sorgi was one of those guys that played behind Peyton Manning. You get on the right roster a great quarterback that never gets hurt. That's the job.
That's the job right there. All right. National championship game coming up Monday night. The teams are heading to Atlanta this weekend. They'll be there. Preps at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. All the fun going on over there, minus an SEC team down in the SEC footprint. But the SEC officials will be calling the game, so you'll have the refereeing and the replay, at least an SEC flavor.
Can't keep them out of the game.
You can't keep them out of the game. Our friends at Hemp Hill brings us the lock every day. Lance'sLock.com. There's no way you were perfect again last night.
Don't doubt my man.
7-3-1. So 11 games can be hard, but I'll take a 7-3-1.
So what's that make your week? Your 3 days this week?
Oh, I think we're 16-3, 16-3-1.
16-3-1.
Getting after
in
it.
a 12-team playoff, you'd still been eligible.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, we've got 11 plays in the NBA/college basketball tonight. Those will be going up in the next hour. So jump on board and win with us. We are on what you would call a heater right now in hoops. Our lock's always brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. They will be coming out to the house later today. Those drains backing up. Look, whatever your problems are, whether it's the plumbing, the heating, or the cooling, home or business, they are ready to serve you. Trust the name. Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for all of these issues. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
And I got a chance to say hi to our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama.com yesterday. How about that? Go by their 16 locations, treating all your urological needs from prostate health, the kidney stones, vasectomies, whatever you need, guys, they can take care of you. Listen, you go from your 20s to your 30s, and then you need to start staying on top of your health, right? When you hit your 30s to 40s, 40s to 50s, and so on. That's what Urology Centers of Alabama can do for you, treating all those urological needs. Find the location near you, 16 of them, 205-930-0920. UrologyCentersAlabama.com to make that appointment. Brownie, you have something?
Well, they're discussing, and we can bring this back if you want to, give you guys time to think about it. Unfortunately,
answering without thinking.
A friend of ours is going to take some strays in this conversation. I hate to say it, but he is a friend of ours. I don't hate to say he's a friend of ours. He's a friend of ours. And
are you running for president?
He's
trying to make a trash open here? What are you doing?
I'm very intrigued now, though.
I'm confused. He's a friend of ours, and we don't want to call him a friend of ours?
Sounds like your coach at halftime when he runs left to our left. Right to our left.
I've never disagreed with you more.
I've never agreed with more. People are debating whether or not Riley Leonard is the worst quarterback to have ever won a national championship, maybe modern day. And our buddy Jay Barker is going to take some strays on that one. That's what I was getting to there.
Yeah, in that year, Barker ended up being a much better quarterback.
Later
but in
on.
that year, Riley Leonard better. Yeah. Riley Leonard's a good quarterback. I mean, he's very physical.
Let's just do playoff era. I mean, he'd be the worst in the playoff era. I mean, McElroy, they did not ask a lot out of him.
He was better than Cardale Jones. I know Cardale Jones in those games was great, but Riley Leonard's a better quarterback.
McElroy, they did not ask a lot out of him. This is outside the playoff era, but I think you guys know what I mean, BCS and on. They didn't ask a lot of McElroy, but there were games that year McElroy had better games than what Riley Leonard has done.
I love Jake Coker, but Jake was not as good as Riley Leonard.
No, I must stop.
Are you kidding me?
I was about to jump in with both feet to defend Greg McElroy. Now I have to take my shirt off to defend Jake Coker.
I got to go back to this.
And you guys think McElroy was better than Riley Leonard?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Nope, you guys are wrong on this.
All right, Coker's stats. The year he won the national championship.
Again, he had Derrick Henry behind. So
that helps every quarterback, by the way.
I can't go do something
well, that's another
that
thing
I can do because I've got to give it to Derrick Henry.
Well, I mean, look, Jeremiah Love is no Derrick Henry, but let's not forget that Notre Dame doesn't have great receivers.
Okay, so his stats are going to look different. But if Riley Leonard was placed into Greg McElroy's position or to Jake Coker's position,
dude, Riley Leonard is so much better than either one of those.
He could not have done.
This is not close.
He could not have done.
You're right.
No. I mean, Coker's got a better completion percentage, threw for more yards, threw for more touchdowns, threw for fewer interceptions. Yeah. I mean, what's he got to do?
I think you're taking away what Riley Leonard does best, and that's run the football.
Because he has to run the football. That's the team. That's the team he's on.
They play to his strength.
Yeah, but that's
Riley Leonard is almost a 1,000-yard rusher.
And Jake Coker had to play to Alabama's strength, which was Derrick Henry in defense. McElroy was told, hey, don't go screw it up, man.
Your Alabama allegiance is getting.
I'm saying
I will
it
start
too.
stacking up other people. I wasn't gonna. I don't know enough of Cardell Jones to get in there and defend Cardell Jones.
Again, Cardell Jones had an incredible 3-4 game run, but when you look at the sample size the last couple of years of Riley Leonard, it's not even close. And the same with McElroy, who had all that talent, Coker, who had all that talent. And I'm not saying that Riley Leonard doesn't have talent, but he doesn't have the talent that those guys have.
Now that I look at it, I am going to backtrack on the 2009 McElroy season. Leonard had a better season than McElroy. McElroy ended up being the better quarterback. I mean, McElroy started a game in the NFL. That's more than Leonard.
No, hey, look,
Greg ended up being the better quarterback.
I've always said that Greg McElroy is a really good quarterback. I've always said that Jake Coker, what he did down the stretch was incredible. I'm just saying, I think we are probably shedding on Riley Leonard a little too much.
I don't think he throws the ball well.
I don't think he throws the ball great, but again, he doesn't have any dominant receivers. He's still completing over 66% of his passes. He only threw 8 picks, and this is a dude that had a total of 35 touchdowns.
Yeah, but he's the quarterback, though. If he doesn't throw the ball well, that's like saying, hey, you're a great pilot, except for the landings.
Okay, well, go back to to Jay Barker that year. Did he throw the football well?
No, he did not.
He didn't have to.
And I'm putting Riley Leonard in front of Jay Barker, right?
But Riley Leonard hadn't had to. But they're playing for the national championship.
But that was freshman, sophomore Jay Barker you're talking about. By the time Jay Barker was a senior, he threw the ball pretty dang good.
I think Barker and Leonard don't throw for the same reasons because their coach is afraid to let them throw a lot. Gene Stallings did not want Jay Barker out there in 92 throwing it a lot.
I don't think Marcus Freeman has a problem with Riley. I don't know. Riley Leonard, and I've said this the entire season, he is not a quarterback that I believe can bring you back from a deficit. And I think that's going to be the biggest problem on Monday night. Yeah. I think they get down 14, and I think they are absolutely done.
Yeah.
But I think Riley Leonard is a lot better than most think. That's a reason that Notre Dame went out, got him in the portal. I mean, look.
If I said 1.5 interceptions on Monday night, you would take the over easily. If I said 2.5, you would consider taking the over.
No, it really depends on how the game plays out. If they're playing from behind, I would take over 1.5. 2.5's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean to throw
just
3 picks
for the total game or for Riley Leonard.
For Riley Leonard,
2.5.
If they get behind Brown, he's got to start throwing it.
I mean, the kid's from Alabama. If he has that kind of meltdown on the national stage,
I mean, look, I just wanted to point this out.
I like him. I'm cheering for him.
Yeah.
Jordan Faison and Jaden Greathouse are arguably your best receivers, right?
That's right.
Jaden Greathouse led the team with 464 receiving yards.
That's right.
And 2 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah,
Faison 350 yards and 1 touchdown.
I know, but we're debating how good of a quarterback he is. You're backing up.
No,
that's like exhibit A and B for me.
No, if he had a Jeremiah Smith, if he had a Ryan Williams, it would be different.
He wouldn't be the quarterback. They'd have somebody better.
You guys are completely wrong on this. There are others, and I had to pause to think about other quarterbacks in the playoff era that Riley Leonard wasn't as good as. But again, no disrespect to Jay Coker, but Riley Leonard's been a better college quarterback. Same to Greg McElroy.
Now, I will say the thing about Coker that always makes him an interesting conversation is by far and away the best games he played were in the postseason. Yeah. I mean, those are the best games he played at
Same
Alabama.
for Will Howard.
So, yeah, I mean, it is a lot like Will Howard. Howard's been –
Same for Eli Manning, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yep.
Like those guys can have just a normal season and then a switch flips in the postseason.
Yeah, and some guys like Justin Herbert.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, when he's there. Will Howard, by the way, if they had let Chip Kelly call the same offense they've called in the postseason all year long, I wonder where Will Howard would be on the draft boards.
Well, he'd probably have a Heisman.
Dude, I mean, if he walked in and sat at the bar at Odie's with his Barner jacket on.
He looks like somebody I know.
He looks like everybody you know.
Or maybe,
he does.
Or maybe the playoffs have gone on so long.
Throw him a VCC.
I've seen him so much that I think I know him now.
Put a VCC quarter zip on him.
You know, Vestavia Country Club quarter zip. You're like, would you join?
Yeah, he does look like a table full of guys we sat at the Rabbit Hole with and did a show a couple of times this year.
He's on up to Louisville side. Louisville, baby.
You guys went to Louisville. All right, Michelson Laser Vision, and then one more thing in our opening segment here. Jacob Hester in the second hour.
205-969-8100. That is the number that I called. Going on now 22 years. Ask for Amy Toe, the next round sent you. She's going to hook you up. Hassle-free consultation. You have zero to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. 969-8100. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, best in the business. Used to wear the contacts, wasted money each and every year on the contacts and solutions. Finally got the procedure done. Now I have 20/15 vision, better than 20/20. 205-969-8100 or michelsonlaservision.com. So this is going to work out one of two ways real quick. If they get destroyed like I think so, then you guys are going to be like, told you so on Riley Leonard. If Notre Dame wins this game, you guys are going to be like, damn, I was wrong.
No, if he tears up Ohio State and wins, I'll come back and apologize.
Yeah, he will.
I absolutely will. Now I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that. But
well, if he does, he's going to do it running. I'm not saying he's not a good running back.
I mean, AU Big Bob in the mybookie.ag chat room does say this, and this is true. You tell me. Well, hang on. I'll just read this list of guys Coker had, and y'all touched on some of this. O.J. Howard. I mean, didn't kill it in the league, but
O.J. Howard
is a fantastic college football.
Yeah, he was a mismatch in college.
Only in the postseason. Go ahead.
Calvin Ridley still catching balls in the NFL right now.
Complete stud back in the day.
Derrick Henry, best running back in the NFL right now. Bo Scarborough, I mean, he's torn it up in the USFL, but
he was great in college.
He was really good in college. And Kenyon Drake, who played a little bit in the NFL as well for the Dolphins.
College.
Yeah. I don't know who Notre Dame has that fits in those spots.
None of those guys.
Well, I mean, I would say Jeremiah Love on his best day is a Bo Scarborough or a Kenyon Drake. He's not a Derrick Henry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's fair.
And the offensive line was so
the
good.
Alabama offensive line much better.
It was so good.
No. Coker had better weapons. I would never argue against that.
Never got into the conversation there. If we were not debating with 2015 Alabama have a chance to beat this Notre Dame team, the answer is yes on 100 Saturdays in a row. 2015 Alabama
they were a better
would
team.
beat this Notre Dame team.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, all right. Probably wouldn't beat this Ohio State team.
Maybe not. That's a much better game. Yeah. I would 100% agree.
I wish that game was happening Monday night, to be honest with you. Lou Holtz, though, at age 88.
88.
He last won the championship in 88. He's 88 years old, and he's playing a factor in this game. He is talking smack. Forrester has the tweet for us last night. After seeing the McAfee discussion, Lou Holtz jumps on. The McAfee discussion was, what if there's a Coach Lou Holtz sighting at the national championship game? I know that he has a bad leg right now. Doesn't know if he'll be there. Lou Holtz tweets, if Notre Dame doesn't win, it's because we want to preserve Ryan Day's job.
Wow.
I was originally going to be at the game in spirit, but now I'll be dragging my body along as well. Lou Holtz.
Okay, first of all, there's no chance that Lou does this himself.
No, this can't. The very best case scenario, Lance, is he dictates this to someone who then sends it out.
Well, I was about to say, if his social media director decides the second line, that is a kick to the dick.
Yeah,
I'm going to be dragging my body along as well. But I just don't understand this. First, it was Deshaun Kaiser. And what did he say about it was Will Howard, right?
Yeah.
Taking a shot at Will Howard. Now
Am I
you've
supposed
got
to believe this guy can take him to
that was
chip?
Malik Zaire.
Yeah,
not
Malik
Deshaun
Zaire.
Kaiser.
Right.
Malik Zaire. But if I'm Ryan Day, you kind of know that Lou Holtz is behind this. If you're Ryan Day, man, do you not do everything you can just to run it up on this team now?
I don't know.
Why would you even care about him? He's 88.
But he obviously does. You've seen it before.
Yeah.
He obviously cares what Ryan Day or what Lou Holtz
and
says
there's
about
a
him.
lot of ex-Notre Dame that is chirping, and I don't understand it. You're in this game. It's a great spot, but there's no reason for extra motivation.
For those that don't remember the story, Larry King used to have a phone, like a voicemail. He would call and he would dictate into that voicemail. Somebody would get the voicemail and then send out the tweet on behalf of Larry King. This was before. I know everybody's like, why did he not just dictate it in his phone? This is before that technology.
Don't you think it was tough
Twitter.
to decipher, though?
Probably so, but
this early days of social media.
Yeah, this was back before you could just dictate it into your phone. I mean, so many people now just pick their phone up and say, type this or whatever.
Yeah,
this is before you could do that. So he would leave it on a voicemail. Somebody would type it out and send it out on Twitter.
Is that how you do your Twitter?
Is that how it? No, not at all. I type my own.
Okay.
I really don't do any voice recognition stuff.
Oh, I do.
It never
I
works.
know. I get your text
when I'm texting.
Yeah, I get your text.
When there's anything that goes awry in my text, it's usually I'm driving.
Yeah, I'm well aware that you do it. I get the text. Yeah.
When E.G. and I were going to the basketball game the other night, I had texted Maggie and I had said, EJ and I are on the way. I said EG, but my southern accent, it picked up EJ.
Yeah, you do the same thing that Archie Manning does. I don't know if you saw Eli's sharing Archie Manning's tweet.
No.
I think it was during the Texas Ohio State game when he was telling Eli and Peyton that Quin Ewers and Will Howard roomed together at the Manning Passing Academy. And then at the bottom he puts -Archie. He's sending it to his two sons. I'm going to assume they've got his number saved. Dunaway does the same thing. He'll send us a text and say, Dunaway. Yeah, I've got your number saved.
Yeah, no, but somebody's in that group there that I don't want to assume has my number when I do that.
Oh, okay.
Like if I'm texting, let's say.
I mean, you've sent it to the show text before.
Stephen Pearl or Barkley. I'm just not going to always assume they've got my name saved. So I just put Dunaway at the end, or Jim, JD, Jimmy D, Jimmy America. Looking forward to the big game. Lou Holtz, no factor in the game, but I love the smack talking when you're 88 till I die, Lou Holtz. I hear you. All right, when we come back, more college basketball. We'll jump into what we saw last night in the SEC. Second thoughts on Georgia with Auburn going to play Georgia this weekend after what we saw last night. There's Hilton Magic and a lot more. We keep rolling along. This is the Next Round brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter @ScottForresterTV.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
It's the O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wheels, January 31st through February 2nd at the BJCC with customs, classics, hot rods, and more. Check out the exotic lineup in the Supercar South Hall, sponsored by Mob Inc. And don't miss the BMX stunt team performing outrageous stunts live. Friday only meet all elite wrestler Christian Cage. Saturday it's Bill Carlton from Texas Metal. And Sunday meet Oscar from The Office. Bring the kids for free Hot Wheels racing, costume characters, rides, and more. Get discount tickets at all O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. Details at worldofwheels.net.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1, find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2, stream it now. Miss Hour 3, download it for later. Miss Hour 4, well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there. Do you need some refreshed college wear to represent your team this year? Shop Roback's Game Day collection that includes both Alabama and Auburn. From quarter zips to hoodies, Roback has it all. Get 20% off on us using code TNR20 at roback.com.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
The World Wide Web is a large place. Find all your favorite people and content in the same spot. NextRoundLive.com is full of wonderful tidbits about the show you know and love. Find our gear, listen to your favorite personalities, follow our socials, and enjoy your trip to NextRoundLive.com.
All right, last night in the SEC, Tennessee demolished Georgia 74-56. Never really close. Really what I think I expected to happen until I was on the show yesterday and we started talking about Georgia and how good they were, sneaky good. And then I was like, but they're not going to do anything to Tennessee. Does that change your perception about how interesting it could be for Auburn?
I thought, we were watching that game as much as we could last night at Odie's, and, our buddy Hamp, who's a big Georgia fan, we were talking about it. They were up at half, and I had Tennessee minus the 11, and Tennessee got up 19 with about 10 minutes to go, and then Georgia ran it back down to 9. So, they ended up losing by 18, but it's about what I expected.
Yeah.
And I do think Georgia is going to be a little bit different home and away.
So for Auburn, who answered all the questions the other night without Janai, likely without Janai, I won't say definitely, but likely without Janai again Saturday at Georgia, how do you?
Auburn's a better team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Auburn, you never, it is impossible to not lose 2 or 3 games in conference, right? So, this is one of those tricky games. I think Auburn's going to be, I would say, probably a 3.5 to 4.5 point favorite. But, the majority of money is going to be all over the Auburn Tigers with that number 1 next to them. So I think it'll be a tight game, but I think Auburn will win.
Late night, didn't tip until 9 Central, but Texas beats Oklahoma in Norman 77-73. Truthfully, I turned it off at halftime because Texas was beating their eyes out at halftime. And I didn't think Oklahoma would have any fight in them to get back in it, but they did.
And halftime was like 11 p.m. because it was the late, the late tip on a triple header.
You asked what that record was last night. That was my final game, was Texas plus 2.5.
Yeah.
And, they were up 21 or 22 when I went to bed. And, they ended up eking it out 77-73. But that Texas team is going to be tricky because they got scores. And, you watched it was, the Auburn game last week where they kind of hung around.
So 3 road wins in these midweek games. Texas went on the road to beat Oklahoma. Ole Miss went on the road to beat Alabama. And Missouri went on the road to beat Florida in these midweek SEC games. If you had to rank those 3, the most surprising win of those 3 was?
Missouri, Ole Miss, Texas.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Missouri.
I did put Missouri first.
Yeah.
Missouri out of nowhere. But again, I think we're going to learn that Dennis Gates' team's a little bit better than we thought. The Oklahoma's just kind of trending in the wrong direction since that first loss to Alabama. And then we thought that Ole Miss was going to get better and better and better, but as a 12-point underdog to win that game outright in Tuscaloosa was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would say the way Ole Miss beat Alabama and by how much, now that That surprised me. But Ole Miss beating Alabama did not surprise me. Missouri going to Florida and beating Florida was the big surprise for me.
Not to dwell too much on this. Do you know, was that triple header a test run? Are they going to try more of that this year?
I don't know the answer, but I
would
did not like it.
I would think they would, though.
Yeah.
Well, what I told Jim was
the problem is that 9 o'clock tip.
It is, and it was
the
weird
5
that
o'clock
they did the 5
problem.
o'clock tip in the Central Time Zone. Like, if you're going to do a 5 Central tip, it would make more sense the Eastern Time Zone, at least at 6 o'clock there, right?
Yeah, is that Tennessee and Georgia?
Well, they know that was the Vandy game.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying if you were trying to get.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got a lot of teams over in the Eastern Time Zone.
South Carolina.
But Tennessee, Georgia was the mid game, but that also was the best game.
That's the game they wanted, yeah.
That was the one you wanted in the best slot there. I'm sure they will try it again, Brownie. It probably is already booked, and I don't even know it. I haven't looked ahead. It surprised me when it happened. And I don't mind it as a viewer, a TV viewer. Which
I love a triple header.
Yeah, I don't mind as a TV viewer because I'm not traveling to the game. I'm just trying to imagine a fan, if I've got a 5 o'clock Central tip, how hard of a struggle it is on a weeknight to get there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and again.
See, the early would bother me more than the late.
Well, I think people view 6 as early. Talking to some people that went to Tuscaloosa the other night.
Jim brought this
I
up.
brought it up yesterday. Making that fan base happy with a tip time midweek basketball game. It's got to be 7 o'clock.
Well,
if it's not 7 o'clock,
actually,
they're not happy.
The triple header would do it as long as you're in the middle game of the triple header.
I think the big problem, like if it was in Birmingham, I don't think anybody would care, right?
No, 6 o'clock would be okay. It'd be perfect.
As to what do you think the percentage of Coleman Coliseum is that is Birmingham? It's half, right?
I'd say half's a good call.
Yeah,
good call. I think that's.
But
talking,
I had to make a call to a buddy, and it was so loud. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon on when was that, Tuesday? Yeah. And I'm like, where are you? Oh, we're at Innisfree already. And we had to come down here, battle traffic, this stupid 6 o'clock tip time.
Yeah, but it's 3:30 and they're at Innisfree. They got time to get there.
you got a pregame, man.
Yeah, battle traffic.
Tip time's not a problem then if you're there at 6. All right, show being brought to you by our friends at Odie's. These guys were out at Odie's last night for trivia.
So the question, which came first, Pit Bull or Diet Coke? Now, I know which one Brown and Dunaway like better.
Yeah. I think I could tell you the year Diet Coke started.
I was within a year. I missed it by one.
Okay, so Pit Bull. We talked about Pit Bull on the show. You probably didn't hear it yesterday.
Now, I do like.
I do remember Pit Bull being on the show yesterday. I don't know the age. I can't remember the age.
I've said many times, I like all of Pit Bull's collabs, but I like the collaborators part of it more than I do Pit Bull's part. I don't know why.
For some reason on Diet Coke, I want to say Diet Coke came into existence. I'm going to just throw flat out 1980. And I think it's 1 year older than Pit Bull.
Okay, so you're going Diet Coke is older. So Pit Bull was 44 yesterday, born in 1981, January 15th. Diet Coke debuted to the market in 1982.
82.
Brown said 83.
I said 83. I was off by
These are little facts that you learn every Wednesday night. Odie's Team Trivia. We do it at the original location right there in Crestline. Get out there early. Enjoy the incredible food from Rodney Davis. You can do that at both locations. The newest location in Edgewood, from the award-winning wings, delicious sandwiches like the Diablo sandwich. Chili is fantastic this time of year. But live music Friday, Saturday, great place to watch all the games. Get in and see Will Haver and that great staff. Birmingham Institution, it is Odie's Tavern.
My mom had a good friend that would drink Tab. You remember Tab Cola? That was the original diet drink, was it not?
Of course, I didn't have to drink or desire to drink diet sodas back then. But occasionally there'd be a Tab. And there'd be no Coke Classic in the fridge. There'd be a Tab somebody would have. And I think it was my friend Bobby and Gene's house. Gene would drink the Tab, and there would be no Coke I could find. I'd try to drink that Tab. And
Dude, I never, I remember the pink packaging of Tab.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw a guy with a Tab in his hand. Was it just taboo back in the day to drink a Tab?
I'm sure, 100%.
Yeah, I think it was a female-oriented drink, yeah. You're right. I can't think of a man drinking a Tab.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see very many people at all drinking them.
Yeah.
I guess they're out of business.
How
You
bad
can't
was
get a
the
Tab
taste?
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I don't think we had whatever makes the things taste good diet now.
I mean, you put shit in a can, what was the point? I mean, was it supposed to be healthy?
Well, there was no other diet drink on the market, no other diet soda on the market at the time. Yeah.
Why would you not drink light beer?
Honest to goodness, I think there was an ad. I want to say it was in Sports Illustrated to show you how times have changed. This would have been a 1970s ad. For
That's where the term shit can came from, right?
I guess so.
It was a combination ad. It was a new menthol cigarette and a tab, and for the New American Woman, and it was in a Sports Illustrated ad for the New American Woman, menthol cigarettes and a tab.
And that New American Woman looks like Lou Holtz now, right? If you get the American Woman from the early 80s that was going on that diet, it's exactly, if they're still hobbling around, they look like Lou.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to shoot New American Woman Sports Illustrated. See if that pops up.
You know what? You know what killed tab? You're not going to believe this was COVID. It was still around until COVID. COVID finally put it under.
Oh, by the way, you see, my girl was the Sports Illustrated swimsuit digital cover yesterday.
Wait, Tab put COVID put Tab under?
Yeah, who was that? Who was that upper left? Oh, is that Brie Chicken Fry?
Yeah, Sports Illustrated model swimsuit.
Yeah. COVID killed Tab. I did not know it had.
She have enough meat on her bones to be a SI.
They had to tape the swimsuit under to keep it from falling off. No, it looked okay. All right, so here we go.
You can't find this? What are we looking for here?
We were just looking for
Is
that
Marge
ad.
Shot right there?
That is Marge Shot. Boy, she was a crusty one, wasn't she?
My
What is that
gosh.
crushed cigarette over there? Oh, it's about big
Dude, the
tobacco.
campaigns back in the day were incredible.
Look at that.
Check mark.
Hey,
Look
look
at Ted Turner on a boat.
Yeah. Hey, he's got a monogram courageous sweater.
Ted Turner driving a boat. That guy was worth so much money.
Man in the sea. Hey, where's that mailing address? Can you pull that out?
The great Ted Turner. He was an American sports hero. Ted
I
Turner.
wouldn't go that far. He was a
Walnut Creek, California?
California.
yeah, Mr. George Dawson.
Okay, chances Mr. George Dawson's still alive.
Very low.
I'd go zero.
I would go 0 too.
Yeah.
I bet he was hammering those checkmark cigarettes on the side.
Better chance that his house is still standing right now in Walnut Grove, California, but that's not even 100%.
No,
Benson and Hedges 100.
Yeah. That's
right.
And I can't bowl either.
The ads used to-
I can't
we
boil
used to-
water either.
We used to do this. We used to do these ads on radio, on our old radio show, when we didn't have a visual platform. We've got to pull up these old ads now, LT.
What?
That
I know.
we need to do a whole
The
segment.
best was the good
tomorrow.
housekeeping, remember,
Yeah.
on things that wife needs to do when you get home.
Yeah.
So
tomorrow.
is-
Let's do tomorrow.
Okay.
Let's do a whole segment. Find us some old ads, LT, that we can pull the visuals for and do them on the show tomorrow.
So is this ad saying that this woman smokes and she can't boil water? What is the what are we advertising with her? What's the meaning behind that?
She can smoke and she's ambidextrous. I don't
She
know.
can smoke and she can't boil water?
She can make the end of that cigarette rise.
Yeah.
That's excited.
Yeah, I mean, really, what is the point with the curvature there in the cig?
Yeah.
I think we
No
know.
idea.
I think we know.
She can't boil water.
Way to wellness, since we'll bounce around.
Hey,
here.
her left hand's missing, but Ted's feeling it. Look at this.
Oh!
She's playing puppet with Ted.
Got that boat turning. On my starboard side, please.
All right. Our show brought to you by our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Our friend Leslie will take care of you. Aplanforme.com. Aplanforme.com. No contracts, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation's free. Just check it out online at aplanforme.com and then set up that consultation so maybe Leslie can help you, whether it's meal replacements or injection therapy or anything else. They can help you there. Blood pressure control, cholesterol numbers. It's all right there for you at aplanforme.com. I did want to get to a couple other basketball notes. One of them is Cooper Flagg, who is now the betting favorite for the National Player of the Year, while Janai Broome is on hiatus until he comes back for Auburn. One stat that is going to work for Cooper Flagg, he is one of only, well, there have only been 50 of these at the end of the year that have led their teams in all of these categories since 1986 when they started recognizing blocks and steals. Cooper Flagg right now leads Duke in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. The 5 major categories. He leads the team in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. If he finishes the year that way, likely will be player of the year.
Yep.
And would then become only the 51st college player to do that. Dwayne Wade did that at Marquette.
50 other players that have led their team in all those categories?
Since 1986, 50 of them.
That's a lot.
Dwayne Wade was one. Bonzi Wells was one. They're scattered out. I don't have the whole list of them in front.
I think his numbers are actually going to go up. You know, he kind of, I don't want to say he had an off game because he had 13, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, but I think the scoring will go up.
There's one other player in college basketball right now who also leads their team in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals.
Janai Broom.
It is not Janai Broom. It is Yaxel Lindenberg of UAB.
Another win last night.
They are now 4-1 in the AAC. Andy
are.
has taken a team that was on the rocks, and they have some losses they shouldn't have. And they beat USF on the road last night, so they win their Florida swing, and they're now 4-1 in the AAC.
Memphis is undefeated. Memphis is a really good team. Where are they in the? I've got the.
They're at Temple tonight, but
no, I've got the Ken Palm pulled up. I was just looking to see where
Got
Memphis
that
is.
side, by the way.
34 in the Ken Palm, and that's they play UTSA next. UAB does, and then that matchup against Memphis at the top of the league right there will be interesting. I mean, Memphis is undefeated. They're 13 undefeated in that league, and 13-3. That's a good basketball team.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that's a pretty crazy story when you think about it, that Penny Hardaway fired his entire staff, or they resigned, or whatever happened there, and nobody's really ever reported as to why that I've seen, and hired an entirely new staff, and has got the best team in his conference, and a team that's in the 30s in the Ken Palm. That's pretty crazy to think about.
We saw him up close and personal, and that's a very, very physically talented team.
And I don't know if you remember that night we saw them play against Alabama in the preseason when we did that game in Huntsville. I think I remember them only having 2 players on that roster from the previous season.
Yeah,
and
that's
one of them was Stansbury's kid, who was basically a end of the game, bring him in, and everybody cheers if he hits a shot guy.
That's right. Yep.
I mean, so they really only had like 1 contributor back. That's a pretty good team to replace your entire team and all your coaches overnight, basically.
Yeah, and P.J. Haggerty was the kid that we talked about, and boy, he's having a heck of a season right now. The kid that has transferred twice from TCU to Tulsa to ultimately Memphis.
Do we know if Kansas is any good? They got beat last night by number 2 Iowa State, who's really good. 71-57 there at Hilton Magic there. Curtis Jones with 25. But I went crazy over 21 turnovers from Alabama the other night. Kansas had 17 last night against Iowa State.
One of the worst offensive teams you'll see from Bill Self. I've always thought Bill Self's a really good offensive coach. I don't know about you guys.
No, I think, obviously, credentials are there. Hunter Dickinson he's been good. He hasn't been great. He's been inconsistent this year. And Rylan Griffin coming off the bench has been okay.
Okay.
I don't know how well that's worked out for him, for Rylan Griffin.
Yeah. Somebody asked me who benefited from that trade the most.
Who did?
Kansas or Alabama?
Would he be starting in Tuscaloosa?
No. In fact, Little T and I discussed that on the basketball show the other day. I don't know where he would play. I don't know how many minutes he'd get. His minutes would be like down from last year.
The role you would have wanted him to play is the Aiden Holloway role, but Holloway's playing that better than Griffin.
I mean, Chris Youngblood, Aiden Holloway, he couldn't get on the court. I hate to say.
No, I don't think so right now.
He would get on the court.
No, he'd get on the court, but he wouldn't get near the
down from last year. Way down.
No, I think the minutes would be down, and I don't think he would be starting. Yeah,
he'd be a 10-minute guy tops.
But by the way, this Iowa State team is really, really good.
Auburn has beaten them already out in Hawaii. They're really good, especially at home there. How good is Houston? They're 0-3 in quad 1 games. 0-3. They don't play a quad 1 game now until January 25th against Kansas. We don't know how good Houston is. That's another win for both Alabama and Auburn.
And, they're still in the top 10, and Kelvin Sampson, year in, year out, has got really good teams. This has a different feel for Houston.
Yeah, but they're number 3 in the metrics, even though they're 0-3 in the quad 1 games. And then tonight, Michigan, who's up to number 20 in the AP poll. Michigan, what's their Ken Palm, Brownie? As I tell you about Michigan, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. Their distinction is?
They're both transfer guys, right?
Yep. They're both 7 foot and 7'1", so they are 2 starters on the court at the same time that are over 7 feet tall.
That's Twin Towers.
Not always on the court at the same time, but they don't mind playing them together. They're on the road, tricky game at Minnesota tonight.
Yeah, Michigan is 11th in the Ken Palm, to answer your question, 13-3.
Good number there for Michigan.
But Michigan is one of those teams, much like Chris Beard and Ole Miss. I think they're going to get better and better. Dusty May, year 1, you saw what he was able to do at Florida Atlantic, and Vlad is one of those guys he brought from the Owls with him. But Dusty May's a really good coach, and he's getting acclimated, and everybody's getting used to his system and stuff. So I think that's going to be a really dangerous Big Ten team once we get to late February.
Late February, they're trending really good right now. So that's a little basketball for you. As we get to the top of the hour, our McCurry Spotlight. Tyler, if you can find the spotlight for me here real quick. Is going to be on the College Football Hall of Fame class that was announced yesterday. I got a thought on that and a couple of other names, familiar names that are going in. Hit it, Tyler.
The College Football Spotlight.
Brought to you each day by McCurry Van and Car Rental, local rental company you can depend on. All kinds of vehicles to choose from. That includes trucks, SUVs, passenger vans, locations in Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, 2nd Avenue Northwest in Coleman, Skyland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. Reserve that rental today, 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com.
Nick Saban, 7-time national champion, obviously in this class as well. We already announced. Urban Meyer goes in this class as well. 3-time national champion, I believe, 2 at Florida, 1 at Ohio State. Did we really, is it good business to put Nick and Urban in the same class? Shouldn't we spread those 2 guys out? That's 2 of the best of all time.
Yeah, I thought that they would be kind of attached, handcuffed. You know, if we went back to when Urban was at Florida, and then obviously, I mean, that just seemed like that was going to be a rivalry for the ages, Florida and Alabama.
I wish it had stayed that way.
Yeah.
What's the bad part about putting them in together in your mind?
Well, if I'm doing the business of the College Football Hall of Fame,
who's really trying to play catch up because they got started
so
late.
Big. I mean, such big names.
They should be headlining their own class.
Yeah, I mean, first because it does this to me. Like, Saban is obviously a much bigger name.
He's going to draw all the attention of this class.
But he is number 1, and then number 2 is Urban. So, but for Saban, you're taking a little bit of all the attention that should be given to him and giving a little bit to Urban.
But not enough to Urban's what I'm saying.
Right, yeah, and you're taking so much away from Urban and giving it to Saban.
Saban got in right away. I'm assuming they waited on Urban just to make sure he didn't coach again because there have been those rumors, right?
Yeah.
And he was obviously with the Jags not too terribly long ago.
Yeah.
So I guess they were waiting to see how that played out. Is why he's just now going in because he's an obvious. I mean, he's a day one guy too.
But why not wait until
next year?
The next guy.
Well, like who next year is going to be the guy that would upstage Urban? There isn't one.
Well, is Mac Brown already in?
Couldn't tell you, but he doesn't upstage Urban. Urban's a better college football coach than Mac Brown.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
But
I don't know though. I have no idea.
I feel like Mac Brown's already in.
Maybe.
And then went back and started coaching again at North Carolina. But on the player side. Michael Vick is going in, and now this is the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's a no doubter.
And he was amazing.
Yes,
1-man show leading Virginia Tech.
One of the most fun players I've ever watched in college football.
To the national championship game. Michael Strahan goes in. Played at Texas Southern. I don't guess I know.
Yeah,
that.
you just didn't see him any because he was at Texas Southern.
Don't remember anything about him there.
Yeah,
yeah. And then here locally. Greg Carr goes in. Auburn fans know him, 1981 to 84. Pat Dye player early on when he flipped the rivalry around there. Big linebacker, local guy. Congratulations to him. He's been waiting a long, long time. And then Larry Blakeney went in. How can I say this?
Wow.
They are more forgiving to get coaches into this Hall of Fame than they are to the players.
I agree. Well, the players have to hit a higher mark. They've got to be a first-team All-American to qualify, I believe.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
On one of the recognized All-American teams.
Yeah. Or one of the major award winners.
Yeah, or major award winners. There's certain criteria.
Back in the day, was Playboy good enough to get you there?
I don't know.
You remember? I mean, that was a big deal being a Playboy All-American.
It was that and the Kodak All-American team. Those were the 2 biggest ones.
Yep.
It was a thin needle to thread to get a player in. Larry Blakeney won 61% of his games at Troy for between 1991 and 2014. He is a College Football Hall of Famer now. When we come back, Jacob Hester talks to us. We'll talk to Hester about the national championship game coming up. Also ask him about the SEC, a couple of NFL departures, including yesterday, James Pierce, his thoughts on those guys going to the next level. This is The Next Round, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. We'll talk to Hester next.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness. Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out TheBarnAuburn.com and CoverCrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Hour two of the show now. Really weird to see how the headlines played out on all the national sites I look at, like The Athletic and such yesterday. Ewers clears path for Arch Manning is how it played in a lot of places.
Instead of Quin Ewers goes to the NFL?
Yeah. It's like Ewers going to the NFL clears path for Arch Manning.
Yeah.
It's about the future at Texas and not what Quin Ewers has done there. It's a weird dynamic as they're leaving. And by the way, Arch could be a one-and-done guy, eligible for next year's draft in 2026.
Jacob Hester is with us. You can follow him on social media at Jacob Hester 18, former LSU and NFL great with us. Also hear him on Sirius XM and with our buddy T-Bob off the bench every single day down in Louisiana. What is up, Hester? How are you today?
I'm doing well. Just wrapped up with T-Bob, but always a pleasure to join you three.
Yeah, it's always fun talking football with you. Well, let's start there. We're going to talk national championship game, but you've seen a lot of Texas and a lot of Arch Manning and a lot of Quin Ewers. Is it? I mean, are you willing to say from what you've seen of Arch Manning at the collegiate level, this is an obvious upgrade? There's no doubt that Texas is going to be better off with Quin Ewers out of the way and Arch Manning playing.
It is a wild conversation because, like, we've had 3 perfect recruits ever. And it's been Vince Young, Quin Ewers, and Arch Manning. So all 3 play at Texas. But Quin Ewers is incredibly talented. Like, there's like 85% of Quin Ewers that is really, really good. It's like that 15% that you wish you could kind of figure out. But even with that being said, he led his team to back-to-back semifinal appearances. And so there was a lot of good with Quin Ewers. And we don't know with Arch Manning. It's been flashes, certainly. And I've watched him play. I played with his uncle Peyton in Denver, so I've heard, what he was going to be for a very, very long time. Watching him play here in New Orleans, in Louisiana, and I think he's going to be really, really good. But to assume, like, from the jump, remember they're opening up with Ohio State next year, that it's going to be the same level as Quin. So that's lofty expectations for Arch Manning, and I think we do have to pay Quin Ewers some respect for how good he was those couple of years there at Texas.
Okay, let's stick with quarterbacks, and I don't think this guy is going to play at the next level, but these two are trying to convince me Riley Leonard might be the worst quarterback that could potentially win a national championship
I don't think we went that
in the
long,
playoff era.
One of the worst.
And Riley Leonard's game is not, hey, get down 14 to Ohio State and be able to lead them back to a victory. But I think Riley Leonard's a pretty damn good quarterback for what he does, running the football. He's tough. He's got some intangibles. And look, he's not a pure polished passer, but I think Riley Leonard is a lot better than people think. Am I wrong?
No, I'm right there with you. I am a big fan of Riley Leonard. I was a fan of his at Duke. I was like, this dude's winning at Duke. I mean, he was doing great things with Mike Elko there. And sure, he's not going to be a 15-year NFL vet that starts 13 of those years. He might have a role, though. I mean, I actually think he's going to get drafted in the later rounds. I think he sticks around for a while. He is like the epitome of my favorite motto, too gritty to be pretty. It is never going to be something that you're going ooh and ah when he throws the football, but I'll be damned if he doesn't find a way. He finds a way every single time to lead his team to victory. Look at that last drive there in the Orange Bowl, man. He makes a couple of plays on some of those money downs where it was not pretty. He had to kind of scramble. He had to throw behind his body to a guy. It almost got tipped, but it got completed. So he is a guy that you go out there and you appreciate the way that he goes about his business and figures it out. Shout out to Fairhope, Alabama as well. I've been watching this kid do this for a very, very long time, and I would totally disagree with him being one of the worst quarterbacks to win a national championship. I would go into battle with Riley Leonard every single day and twice on Sunday. I believe in this guy. Again, the next level, that's a different conversation. But with this level – and the way Notre Dame rallies around him, look, they don't have weapons. They don't have receivers. Like Bo Collins was okay at Clemson, and that's maybe their go-to guy. Now, Jeremiah Love, when healthy, that's a difference maker. But think about the weapons he doesn't have compared to some other quarterbacks, and you have to factor that into his play as well.
Hey, look, real quick, and I say that he's not going to play in the NFL. You're a Louisiana guy. Taysom Hill still steals money at New Orleans. and so if Taysom Hill can do it in those packages, maybe Riley Leonard would have a spot.
Yeah, look, Taysom Hill, when healthy, I mean, he's a really good player, but you're right, $18 million is going to be the cap hit next year. He just can't stay healthy, and probably because of the style of play. And, Taysom is a big guy, but, yeah, look, Riley Leonard is one of those I'll do whatever I've got to do to make the roster kind of guys. And, hey, there is a blueprint. You're exactly right. It is Taysom Hill, who was a great player at BYU. I mean, he torched Texas a couple of years there in a row at BYU, but same kind of thing. He couldn't stay healthy. So, yeah, Riley, if you want to do that, just know you're going to spend a lot of time in the cold tub. But if you have a path in the NFL, it's probably going to be more of that than it would be as a true pocket passer.
Yeah, that's the only reason you like him is because he's a headbanging running quarterback. He's not a pocket passer. He's not pretty. There's nothing flashy about him. Jacob Hester is with us. I wanted to ask you, man, the better job this year, and I know at least I feel like it's been done by Marcus Freeman, but Ryan Day's done a heck of a job picking this team up after that Michigan loss. So if I ask you who's done a better job, Ryan Day or Marcus Freeman this year, in your opinion, you had to choose between these two national championship coaches potentially, who would you go with?
Gosh, that is such a great question. It's almost impossible to answer because when you lose to Northern Illinois as Notre Dame, how do you get up off the mat after that? How do you find a way to make your team believe that you can go out there and run the rest of the table, which is what they've done? They've gone through Georgia. They've gone through Penn State. And so maybe any other year I would give Marcus Freeman the nod here. But we all know what Ryan Day came into this season with. The expectation, the hot seat talk. You better do A, B, and C. And if you do that, it's probably not going to be good enough because we want you to do A, B, C, and D, just because that's what we expect here in Columbus. So you lose a close game to Oregon. And, man, I do shows with Bobby Carpenter every week. He said Columbus radio was melting. He said it was one of the worst weeks he's ever had in radio because of what they had to hear and deal with that week. And you lost to the number one team in the country on the road by a point, and that's what it was like. And then you lose in a fourth year in a row situation to Michigan. We talked about it in Louisiana. Y'all talk about it there in Alabama. All of us talked about Ryan Day, his future. Hell, I thought Tennessee was going to beat him in the playoff because of it. They come out there, they house Tennessee, they house Oregon, they avenge that loss, and then they go and they beat probably, if you're looking at talent in the country, if Ohio State's 1A, Texas might have been 1B, and they beat them by 2 scores. And so for you to have all the doubters, and it was everybody, and then you still find a way to make it to a national championship game in which you're an 8.5-point favorite, as good as Marcus Freeman has been, and my God, do I love Marcus Freeman, I still have to give it to Ryan Day because I don't know of an expectation that is higher maybe ever. Like, it might be the highest expectations of what you better do. We don't care how many games you've won in the regular season. You hadn't beat Michigan. You haven't won a national championship. Now, you were a shanked kick away from winning a national championship because you also probably do to TCU what Georgia did, but that doesn't matter because you didn't do it. So I think Ryan Day and what he's done to get this team back into this position, I've got to give him the nod there.
You just said what a lot of people have said. I mentioned it earlier. I either, growing up here in Alabama, hated the Notre Dame head coach or didn't care about the Notre Dame head coach. I think Freeman's the first Notre Dame head coach I've actually liked. And a lot of people, like, as far as personal brand goes, Marcus Freeman has already won this national championship. I think America has kind of fallen in love with this guy. Yeah. Do you know him at all? Have you spent time around him? You just said how much you love him. Are you just like us? You're just looking from afar and saying, man, I really like what this guy, how he presents himself.
No, so I do know Marcus a little bit. We played against each other in college in a national championship game when he was at Ohio State. And as you can imagine, linebacker and running back, we met a couple of times. Played against him when he was in the NFL with the Rams. I think it was a preseason game we played against each other. And then, going back to Bobby Carpenter, him and I do shows together, and him and Bob are super, super tight. And so we've had him on Meathead Radio with us there in the afternoons on Sirius XM a bunch. And so getting to know him a little bit, spent a lot of time with him down there in Sugar Bowl at the media day, talked with him after the game, off the record after the game, like just talking about the ball game there for a little bit. And so I do know him, but even if I didn't know him, I think I would enjoy Marcus Freeman because you're right. Like, he made Notre Dame lovable. Did any of us sitting here, any of the four of us in our lifetime ever think that Notre Dame would be like an American darling, at least for a little portion of time? Like, I grew up Irish Catholic, and our family didn't like Notre Dame. That's just the way it was, right? Because nobody did. But now everybody's kind of rooting for him, which is wild.
And he's 14-5 against top 25 teams. He's 7-0 this year. With that said, they're 8.5-point dogs on Monday night. Do you give them any shot to pull the upset?
I mean, I give them a shot. Now, if you're asking me for a prediction, I say Ohio State wins, Notre Dame covers. I do think it's going to be a close football game. I think at the end of the day, I just don't know that Notre Dame has enough firepower on offense. I think they can keep it close. They're going to try to control the ball. Hopefully Jeremiah Love doesn't have the giant knee brace on, even though he still looked incredibly athletic, jumping over people, finishing at the goal line. He's really their one explosive weapon. And so when you go against Ohio State, what do I try to take away? If I take away Jeremiah Smith, it's going to be everybody else like it was against Texas. If I take away everybody else, it's going to be Jeremiah Smith like it was in the first 2 rounds. And so do I give them a chance? Absolutely. Do I think they'll win? I do not. I think Ohio State, like I said, they win in a close game just because I don't know that Notre Dame can find the firepower to be able to outscore Ohio State. Now, they did it against Georgia. They've done it in every game outside that Northern Illinois. But this Ohio State team and defense, I think it's different.
Listen, I know how the veins of college football run all over the place, and somehow Marcus Freeman's success at Notre Dame, it feels like down near your house there probably has turned up the heat on Brian Kelly. Is that a fair statement that, oh, look, you're the guy that replaced you at Notre Dame, your old job, has gotten there before you have BK? Is the heat up on BK?
Well, I think they're always going to be intertwined. There's no doubt about it. I mean, BK had him on the staff, and he gets promoted to the head coach there. And as y'all know, just like the places that y'all cover every single day, the expectations at LSU are as high as anywhere in the country. The last 3 coaches have won a national championship. Hell, Coach O got fired for being 500 after 2019, right? And so we kind of know what that is. And I do think the expectation is going to go up. And a lot of people are talking about, hey, you said you couldn't, win a national championship at Notre Dame. And look what Marcus Freeman is doing. I think the math has changed on that as well. Now, I want to give Marcus all the credit, but it was the first year of NIL. There was no collectives. Like, it was kind of still true NIL. Transfer portal certainly wasn't in play like it is now. Like, think about the guys that Notre Dame is getting right now. They're going out and they're, because it's so hard to get accepted to Notre Dame, and now they can go get a Jordan Clark from Arizona State who graduated to be their starting nickel. They can go get Riley Leonard, a Duke graduate, to be their starting quarterback. And so I think 2 things can be true there. And also, like, Marcus has to go win this game. BK got them to a national championship game as well. Now, Alabama ended up, running away with that game. But, Marcus right now is in the same place that BK got Notre Dame. Now, if he wins it, then maybe the math changes again. But, look, I think the expectation at LSU never needs help going up. So I will say that. But I also think that the comparison maybe isn't as easy as it does look like it is on paper.
All right, Jacob Hester at Jacob Hester 18. You hear him on Sirius XM Radio. He and Bobby Carpenter do a great job there. He and T-Bob off the bench. He's a busy, busy man, and we always appreciate the time, Hester. Fun talking with you as always.
Absolutely. My pleasure, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, buddy. You too. Jacob with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
I always wonder about his schedule because – he's on the mornings there, and then he's got the afternoon.
He's got 100 kids,
and I try to squeeze out a round of golf or something when we're done here. Don't know what you
try.
You try. Well, sometimes you succeed.
I only got 89 rounds in this year in 2024. I was just thinking.
Will you take advantage of today?
I am.
He's playing today. I'm playing tomorrow.
Yeah, so we're platooning. Yeah. One of us is always on the wall just in case something happens.
Yeah, one of us has to be on alert.
Yes.
in case news breaks and Taylor needs a video.
You never know what little T's going to like. Can I get a video on this?
Yeah. So-and-so has pulled a toenail.
Yes.
We need a video on this. Those split schedules can be tough on a guy like that. All right. Our friends at New York Butcher Shop bringing you that part of the show right there. Tell us about New York Butcher, and we'll continue the college football conversation.
Yeah, stop in and see Jim and the incredible staff. 2 locations, the original Cahaba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone as well. One-stop dinner shops. Pick up some of those incredible deli sandwiches. They're absolutely huge. You can eat half at lunch, take the other half home. Fresh meats from the great steaks to the rock pork chops, Italian sausages, the chorizo. I mentioned the lasagna we had last weekend. Fantastic stuff. Great selection of fine wines and desserts as well. Rare quality, well-done service, the New York Butcher Shop.
Is there a draft list, Brown, complete list now or is there names still trickling in? Because I'm wondering, James Pierce announced yesterday, or it came out yesterday, that he was going to the NFL draft, the Tennessee edge rusher, who was a little disappointing to me this year, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do...
I don't know if it was just because there was so much focus on him that they took him out of the game.
But I thought the same thing when I saw that came out. I was like, I don't know that you got out of Pierce, if you're a Tennessee fan, everything you wanted out of him this year.
Yeah.
I mean, because coming back, he looked like maybe the best defensive player in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I saw, projections. If it wasn't Carson Beck, a lot of people had James Pierce as the number 1 guy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that's the window has closed to declare for the NFL draft. And I wonder if you guys had a thought of anybody who did end up going that probably shouldn't have gone. Is Quin Ewers going to be that trophy?
He's always going to be the guy you watch and wonder.
Where is his draft slot for us to say he made the right choice?
Quin Ewers. Round. Just anywhere in the first round, because we're talking about this NIL money that Carson Beck's getting. Ewers, according to reports, was going to get more NIL money. And again, Will Levis, who just started a couple of weeks ago for the Tennessee Titans, was an early second-round guy, and he was making $2 million this year. You're going to make double that if you're Quin Ewers. So if you don't go in the first round, To me, it wasn't worth it.
I would say, though, like if a really good franchise, say Kansas City, you would agree they're a pretty good franchise right now.
Yeah.
Let's say with their second-round pick, they're like, let's address backup quarterback. Let's go Quin Ewers and see what this kid does. If you're with a good franchise like that, of course, your path to starting, it's probably a better example. I keep using Lance's Rams because Matthew Stafford's days are numbered. I mean, he doesn't have that many more years left. So if a good franchise like the Rams drafted him, even if it's a second-round pick, I'm like, yeah, that's not a bad spot to be in. You're behind a Hall of Fame quarterback, learning the trade with a good franchise. It's going to put you in a good spot the day you get to start, and you'll get to earn your place. I mean, money-wise, I'd rather be Bryce Young.
Right.
But experience-wise, I'd rather be in that situation, wouldn't you? Like, would you?
I would understand. Yeah.
Would you have rather had the experience to your path at starting of Bryce Young or Jordan Love? Which one had you rather have had?
Jordan Love.
I would have too.
Yeah. But was he a first rounder?
Late first round, wasn't he? Yeah, late first round.
I mean, that's the key spot right there. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love be late first round, get that first round money, but I don't have to play right now.
Yeah, whereas Bryce Young gets thrown right to the wolves, and it's taken him a minute, and fortunately for Bryce, it looks like maybe he's finally found it.
Yeah.
We won't know until next year.
But late first round also means you're on a good team that has a good offensive line.
Yep.
You're the first overall pick. You're usually behind a bunch of cheese hole offensive lines that can't block anybody.
And there's no pressure for me to come in and be a star right away. I got time to do it.
That's the way to do it.
It is.
If you go in the first round. So USA Today 2025 NFL mock draft, does Quin Ewers shake up the quarterback landscape in round one? They did their top 32.
One word column, no.
And we're back.
They've only got two quarterbacks going in the first round. They've got Cam Ward and both Shedeur Sanders going in the top 6, and they don't have another quarterback going to the first round.
Yeah, so
I mean, I do think Jalen Milroe, because of the way he will test, will end up going to the first round. But I would be really surprised if Ewers is a first-round guy.
All right. The NFL draft coming up in April.
James Spears in this, by the way, 16th overall to Arizona.
Oh, well, then that's a good decision on his part if you go 16th.
Probably the franchise I think about the least, though, of all. Arizona. I think about that franchise of 32. I think about it less than I do.
Carolina or Jacksonville?
They're in my Carolina's in my division, so I have to think about them. But it's my least favorite weekend.
But they're among the teams I watch less. Now you watch them more because you're a division game. But Arizona,
I watch Arizona, and my best friend's guy. He's an
Arizona guy. But Arizona's always playing in that late window, and normally in the late window, I'm content with just the game that the network has given us nationally.
You get off the red zone.
Well, I mean, I'll still have Sunday ticket on, but I'm far less focused on the other games.
100%. Tyler does our 4 downs every Thursday, non-sports related. It's that time today, brought to you by our friends at Slice. Wonderful slice pizza there. Man, I got to get by and get some slice.
I do too. It's been a couple of weeks for me. Maybe today for lunch. Who knows? Slice and a salad, 5 locations. Stop in. Very convenient throughout Birmingham and Montevallo. The original location, Lakeview, Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline. And newest location right there in Edgewood. Local pizza, local ingredients. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
The Costco dad from TikTok turns 48 today. What's your food court go-to meal or snack?
So I used to go to Brookwood Mall all of the time as a kid. Like when I was, 10, 11, 12, 13, we would get dropped off on Friday, Saturday nights. And that was the second Chick-fil-A ever in that food court, and then they had a Sbarro.
Yeah.
So I would bounce back and forth. And then Orange Julius. Those were like the 3 back, and this is like in the 80s if you watch Stranger Things. You don't realize how big the mall was back in the day, Tyler.
Yeah.
But the way in season 2 of Stranger Things, they did a great job of capturing the magic of a mall in the 80s.
But I think Tyler maybe remembers a little bit because E.G. and I, when we were riding to Tuscaloosa, we were passing the Galleria, and I was like, God, I miss when the mall was a big thing. And she even said, especially around Christmas time. So she remembers the hustle and bustle of even the malls around Christmas.
Well, I mean, you've got memories when you're 7, 8, 9 years old, and those are probably the memories.
Do you have any memory of like the Galleria or Brookwood Mall around Christmas as a kid?
Yeah, it used to be really busy. They used to have like the pictures with Santa, and then like across, like maybe on the other side of the food court, there would always be like a former Alabama player signing autographs. They would have an Alabama and Auburn player signing autographs there.
We're at that point where they're just now, for people, Tyler, Taylor, and E.G., just a very small memory of a distant childhood of around Christmas time, and that's it of the mall.
I'm with Keith in the MyBookie.ag chat room, and you want to make me sound really old. I'm about to sound really old. I can still remember a day when the only place you could get Chick-fil-A was the mall.
The first one here was Brookwood.
That is correct.
I thought the first was Century Plaza and then Brookwood.
That's what I meant. Century Plaza, the one out in Eastwood.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the first one.
I think it was my man Morris Jackson. Still a Chick-fil-A owner and operator to this day. His sons, a good friend of mine, David Jackson, one of his sons. Has the one out on 31 in Hoover.
Yeah.
Another one of his sons has the one in Vestavia right there.
And this is going to sound crazy, but back when those first opened in the early 80s.
It was the greatest thing ever invented.
It was, and it was so unique. Like, there's so many chicken sandwiches, and Chick-fil-A is still head and shoulders. Yeah, they're great. But it was just so different. You're like, a damn chicken sandwich?
I know. But
it was very unique.
And it was such a simple
thing on this. It's so good.
It was such a simple menu back then, too, Tyler. It was chicken sandwich, waffle fries, drink. I don't even think that they didn't have nugs back then.
No, they had the carrot raisin salad.
Carrot raisin salad.
Yep.
Maybe coleslaw back then. I don't know.
They did. They had the coleslaw. They had the lemonade, but it was a very limited menu.
I used to love to get the coleslaw as a side and put it on my chicken sandwich
with Polynesian sauce.
Yes, that was
my answer, Tyler, was from the Galleria. Chick-fil-A Sbarro, but Boardwalk fries.
Those were good.
Remember those?
Yeah.
And then they come in a cup.
Yeah,
big
salty
cup. You had to get them different. They were salty.
Yeah.
I'd get a big thing of that. I'd get the ketchup.
They were skin-on fries, weren't they?
Skin-on fries.
Yep.
The kind of salt that you could still see on the fry.
That's right.
They weren't salted. The big granule salt. And I'd get a little malt and vinegar little thing, and I'd sit there, and that would be a meal.
Those are good.
Loved it.
Did you guys ever, there was a time that I felt like, and maybe it was just, not mud puddle, but in between the gates of Brown and the mud puddle of you. It seemed like Sbarro was a really good product.
No, it was.
Like you would see, and they would just have the big slices under a heat lamp.
Not to sound like Michael Scott, but it was my favorite New York pizza. I felt like I was actually getting a New York pizza when I got Sbarro.
I thought it was so cool because they always had beer on ice. As a kid, I was like, damn, man, they got beer in the mall.
Beer in the mall, man.
It sounds nice. When the mall was like a place to
Tyler, it was
go
awesome.
hang out.
It was
a cool
awesome.
place to go.
I can't tell you how cool.
We would get dropped off at 6 o'clock and picked up at 10 o'clock, and we would just run the mall for 4 hours.
Fantastic.
If I had something to do,
I don't think you can do that at the Galleria now.
No.
But if I had something to do in Hoover at 3 o'clock today, and it was 1:30, I would just go to the mall. If this was back in the 90s. Go to the mall.
I remember when we first started working at Jock, so this is 98, 99. I remember with Michael Spisto and Tony Grillo. We'd go to lunch there sometimes, and we'd end up just, walking the mall.
I don't.
Very productive.
Sometimes you didn't know what you needed until you walked past it, Tyler.
Yeah. It was a magical place, especially around Christmas. I mean, boy, around Christmas, the mall was the place.
Music Land, Aladdin's Castle.
So good.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know what any of these
I
places
know.
are.
I know.
No.
It's
you missed out. You missed out on a good
Spotify and get any song I want anytime. You don't have to go in there and
Spencer's Gifts.
Look at the record, man.
They still have that.
I know, but I felt like my parents would not have wanted me in there. I felt like I was breaking every rule in my household.
They probably still don't want you
probably
in there.
Not.
Second down.
The singer FKA Twigs, one of the stars of 2024's The Crow, turns 36 today. What's the worst movie you've ever seen?
Is The Crow going to be terrible?
It came out last year, and it was awful. Tim, do you have any thoughts on The Crow?
I really regret having seen it. It's truly trashy.
Wait,
she gives the worst performance of the year, by the way.
Wait, is it not based on the Brandon Lee Crow that I saw back in the 90s?
No.
They say it is.
No.
It's not the same story. At all.
Okay, so Thanksgiving 2 years ago, Jace comes in and puts on Leprechaun in the Hood. And
was that the one you were trying to make me watch at the Floribama?
No, that was Tales from the Hood.
Oh, Tales from the Hood, okay.
Yeah, Tales from the Hood's actually pretty good, pretty funny. Leprechaun in the Hood, though, I could not believe what I was watching. Now, I've only walked out of a couple of movies. Raising Cain with John Lithgow way back in the day was one that I walked out. But Leprechaun in the Hood. Hey, see if you can pull the synopsis on what it's about. Because the background of the story, like Jason's trying to, man, you got to watch this because there's this record producer or something.
When aspiring hip-hop performers Butch, Postmaster P, and Stray Bullet's
great name.
Cross record producer Mac Daddy, the grudge against him leads to their own peril. After they break into Mac Daddy's home and swipe an ancient medallion from a grotesque statue, the evil leprechaun, played by Warwick Davis, is freed from the magical prison. Soon, the sinister little man is on the trail of Butch, Postmaster P, and Stray Bullet.
Dude, I think Stray Bullet puts literally 1,000 rounds into the leprechaun. It doesn't affect him.
Oh, no, they're oblivious.
And Ice-T played Mac Daddy?
Yeah.
In the Misfits?
Yeah, it was,
pretty bad.
I'm sure if you're stoned as a bat, there might be some funny parts, but it was awful.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to watch this tonight.
I only watched 30 minutes of this, but on Apple TV, Denzel Washington did a rendition of Macbeth, I think it was.
Ooh.
Objectively, the worst 30 minutes of anything I've ever watched. Turned it off. He's like wandering around in the desert.
I thought the Coen brothers did it. I thought it was black and white. I never saw it.
It is black and white, and it is atrocious for 30 minutes. 30 minutes of some of the worst stuff I've ever seen, and it's Denzel.
Worse than Lincoln?
You know, Lincoln at least had the good acting of Daniel Day-Lewis that you could say, at least I'm watching good acting here, even though it's a boring movie.
I didn't care for the Blair Witch Project, mainly because it made me motion sick.
Oh, I had to walk out. I couldn't finish it.
And I did not like it was very hyped, though, back in the day. So when I went to the theater, I was very disappointed.
Well, they had you believing it was almost a true story.
They did.
Yeah.
And then you watch the movie, and they argue about a map for an hour.
Yeah.
The entire movie.
I never saw
Where's
it.
the map?
Don't see it.
Blair Witch Project
Didn't really want to.
is my gold. My silver was the whole 10 yards. I got bought into a sequel of the whole 9 yards.
You were just waiting for one
which
scene.
I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's one scene.
Pete was really, really good in that one. Whole
Third
10 yards.
down.
Paul Blart Mall Cop was released 16 years ago today. What's the best Kevin James movie?
I am not exaggerating when I say this, and you guys know I've seen maybe not as many movies as Tyler or Melton, but it's a lot.
You've seen
probably,
more than them.
Probably so because I'm older.
They'll pass you at some point.
Yeah, probably so. I have never seen a Kevin James film. I haven't seen Hitch. I haven't seen Pronounce You, Chuck and Larry. I haven't seen any of the grown-ups.
The answer is The Dilemma. It's my favorite, Vince Vaughn and Kevin James. If you notice, I did research this week. I didn't know we could pre-look up any of this stuff. I thought we were supposed to do it on the fly.
Didn't know there were rules.
But The Dilemma, Vince Vaughn catches Kevin James' wife.
Isn't that played by Winona Ryder? I think I did see that one.
Yeah,
I thought it was awful.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, awful.
Milton agrees.
But it is the best of the Kevin James movies, in my opinion.
Does he have what is viewed as a good movie?
I think he's good in Hitch and
Forcer's back there shaking no.
No, I remember Hitch not being bad. Scott, did you hate Hitch? Were you anti-Hitch?
I'm kind of I'm out on Kevin James.
Okay.
Yeah, I
don't
agree
think
with
he's
you.
that funny.
He is a blowhard.
I did like early on King of Queens. I thought was good. It probably ran its course, but I liked him in King of Queens early on.
Got really old quick.
Yeah, I'm talking like first couple seasons was funny. Yeah,
I never saw it, but fat UPS driver married to a Scientologist.
married to Leah Remini in her absolute peak.
Yeah,
it made no sense. And Leah Remini's dad was Jerry Stiller, which really didn't add up either.
Fourth down.
The director John Carpenter turned 76 today. What's the best John Carpenter movie?
Look, John Carpenter's done some really good things. To me, it comes down probably The Thing, 1982, Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley. It's fantastic. Escape from New York, though, Snake Plissken, Kurt Russell. I think that's 1979 or 1980, and Christine. Those would be my three favorite.
I don't like horror, so that hurts him with me. But Big Trouble in Little China would be where I would go.
Kurt Russell?
Yeah, Kurt Russell. I actually saw that movie. I didn't know who this guy was, but I actually saw that movie and liked that movie. So Big Trouble in Little China.
I never saw it.
It's a pretty good cheesy 80s movie.
Thank you.
Yeah. Halloween.
Nothing says me more than that.
Cheesy 80s movie.
I've never.
From his fingers.
I know he did the original Assault on Precinct 13. I saw the remake with Ethan Hawke. I didn't think the remake was good, but the original was supposed to be really good. From 1976, it was one of his first films, so I need to go back and watch
Melton
that.
is screaming Halloween from the back.
Halloween, yeah, that was my call too.
Halloween was good. It was
best horror movie ever made.
No,
yes,
not true.
No.
Absolutely.
No, The Shining kills it.
I agree.
What kills it?
The Shining.
I thought The Shining was a Christmas movie.
Tyler thinks Rob Zombie's Halloween is better than John Carpenter's Halloween. That's where we're dealing with.
I did like that Halloween better.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you guys notice what we're doing with these Christmas movie debates every year now, we add movies that aren't into the debate, just so we keep doing the debate every year, there aren't Christmas movies at all.
Leprechaun in the Hood?
No, when y'all started with Die Hard is a Christmas movie, to add that into the debate one year.
Wait, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Oh, that's asinine. I think that's a Christmas
movie. It takes part of that
Christmas
Christmas
movie.
It's at a Christmas party.
The one that got added into the discussion this year was Eyes Wide Shut. Because
Why?
there were scenes, I guess, that have Christmas trees in it. I don't know.
Yeah, the whole thing happens on Christmas Eve.
No,
Okay,
he goes to
that's asinine. That's not a Christmas. It's nothing about the Christmas spirit. That's what makes it a Christmas movie.
I think the only
some
thing
giving.
about Eyes Wide Shut is he meets that skank on the street that takes him back to her apartment. And she's got a bunch of Christmas lights in the apartment. I think that's the only thing. I can't remember anything else.
All I know is I see these debates and list every year, and then all of a sudden it became cool one year that Die Hard was now a Christmas movie. And we're debating that
because it is.
So now it's Eyes Wide Shut's in the discussion. That's soft porn. That's not a Christmas movie.
By the way, Eyes Wide Shut
Ain't
is
nothing soft in that movie.
Yeah, Eyes Wide Shut's a good movie. It actually is.
Let me wait. Stanley Kubrick?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good for
You did do research.
That is 4 Downs today. Brought to you by our friends at Slice.
5 great locations. Stop in for lunch or dinner, from the soul pie, the hot mama, the Bajaya special. You're going to love it. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
Our show today also being brought to you by Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing. Website, stormrestorationroofing.com, if you want to get more information about him. Or I can tell you that he gives you a free quote, a free evaluation on anything that goes on with storm damage, anything like that. He'll give you a free roof inspection to let you know if you got any problems up there. You need that roof inspected every now and then just so you don't have loose shingles that could, just takes one shingle to cause a problem up there. Or maybe you got some fracturing around pipes or fittings up there that can cause entryway problems and entryway for water. Storm damage, roof replacements, insurance roofing claims. He handles it all. The insurance roofing claims, so important here because he deals and works with these insurance providers for over 20 years now, so he can really help you walk through the process and come out on the positive side. Call that number, 205-542-3531, or look him up on Facebook. It's Greg from Pell City. We're back in a moment right here on The Next Round.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemphill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemphill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemphill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemphill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by, ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1? Find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2? Stream it now. Miss Hour 3? Download it for later. Miss Hour 4? Well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Back with you on the Next Round. Our Dr. B, let's stump. I think I'm going to challenge Ryan Brown with the Dr. B Stump Ryan Brown moment
Stump
of the
the
day.
chump.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Who are the best two teams? I know you know this, so don't answer.
Okay.
Best two teams in the NBA right now, Brown, in the Eastern Division and the Eastern Conference, Western Conference. They played 8 days ago. They're playing again tonight, 6:30 on TNT. I was floored, Brownie, that one of these has a 6.5 game lead in one division. The other has a 6 game lead in the other conference.
Celtics and Thunder.
Celtics and you
got to
have Oklahoma.
I knew
City
Thunder, but I don't know who's the Eastern Conference.
Surprisingly, 6 game lead over the Houston Rockets, who I didn't know had gotten good again.
No. I knew the Thunder was out west, but the East.
I
East got
knew
me.
the Thunder was going to be really good this year. I had no idea the Cavs. I don't think anybody knew the Cavs were going to be this
that's
good.
right. I remember the Cavs started 15-0. Was it?
Yeah.
Did they make it to 15-0?
I think they did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The Cavaliers, who are 6.5 games ahead of Boston.
Dude, they're on pace to match Golden State 2015, 2016, 73 wins.
6:30 TNT tonight. Cleveland won the game a few days ago, 8 days ago. Battle of the two best teams in the NBA right now. Did not know they were the two best. Oh, well, while we're doing trivia, you ready? Before we hear
Is
from
this for
Dr.
me too?
B,
Yeah.
this is for anybody.
Okay.
This is
Anybody can buzz in.
It's from our friends at Yahoo Sports. Yahoo Sports today. The only venue to host a World Series, a Super Bowl, a Final Four, and a Major League All-Star game in American sports history.
Okay, one more time.
In American sports history, the only venue to host a World Series, a Super Bowl, a Final Four, and a Major League Baseball All-Star game.
I would guess the Houston Astrodome.
I was going to say the Astrodome too, but
I
they
don't think
didn't.
they had a Super Bowl.
No, they didn't have. I don't know if they had a Super Bowl, but I know they didn't have a World Series.
Didn't have a Super Bowl or a World Series.
Okay, so that's a really bad guess then.
That's the first one that came to mind.
Metrodome?
It is the Metrodome, non-existent anymore.
The Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome.
2014.
Yeah.
World Series with the Twins, hosted a Super Bowl. I think it was the Redskins and somebody.
No, it was.
Yeah. It was the first.
The 49ers played in one there
49ers
against the
Bengals,
Bengals.
1982.
Not the
No,
drive.
49ers Bengals was.
They played two of them.
They played two of them.
Silverdome.
Oh, it was.
It was
Silverdome.
Silverdome.
Yeah. And the other one was in Miami. The drive was in Miami, right?
Yeah.
Hey, there's John Candy.
Yep.
Final Four and
Yeah.
Major League Baseball All-Star game. That from Yahoo Sports
Wow.
today. Tell us about Dr. B.
Dr. B, best in the business. You start thinning out. You want to maintain, grow some of that hair back. He is the guy you need to call. 205-319-0316. Tell him the next round sent you. Schedule that consultation. Do what me and Brown did. I did it years ago. Brown did it almost a year ago. Dr. B, for more than 20 years, women and men have turned to him for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training and genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. 205-319-0316. Again, I do that non-invasive treatment 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time. That is it. My hair is more than doubled in thickness. For more information, you can always go online, t3hair.net.
So they'll retire that record, though, because nobody's building the multi-purpose dome anymore where I play baseball and football in it.
No.
Yeah, so, I mean,
never happen again.
Yeah, that day's over, really.
Yeah, I mean, you really had to crunch who had hosted a World Series. That was the toughest one you had to find, right?
That's right. But
Final Four, you knew it had to be indoors.
Yeah, nobody wants those facilities anymore. Everybody wants their own, and I understand why.
Yep.
You don't have those multi-purpose anymore.
By the way, I cannot believe there was a Super Bowl at MetLife. I went there a month ago.
And it was, if you remember, it was a relatively mild night for that time of year.
Well, I'm not even talking about the cold. I'm just talking about
how bad the stadium is.
It's just not a nice venue.
Is it really?
It was okay.
That's not that old.
Kind of like Glendale.
Oh, I hate Glendale.
Yeah.
How far out of town is MetLife?
Going, it didn't seem like far. Going back just because of traffic. Like if there was no traffic at all, you could 12 to 15 minutes.
Raymond James is just a generic stadium too, and
it's well out of town.
Yeah,
they built it right next to where the Sombrero was.
I mean, anytime you build a new stadium, that's part of the deal, right?
Yeah, but it's a generic stadium. It keeps getting Super Bowls.
I
think
can't believe
back
it
there
does.
again soon. Yeah,
and I don't know what the appeal for Tampa is.
Yeah,
I
don't either.
I assume the best part or the most entertaining part of Tampa is Ebro. Ebor, whatever it is.
It was a good place to get killed there at one point.
Oh, yeah, it was.
It's come back around.
Dude, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, Ebor was a lot of fun. And then people started to shoot people.
Well, that generally slows the fun down.
It does. Apparently not New Orleans.
That's true. Oh, boy, I saw where, the NFL's worried about this.
Well, I'm not even talking about the latest attack. I saw what the NFL's doing, doubling down on security.
Yeah,
I'm not even talking about that attack. I'm talking about before the attack.
Right.
We've been there on New Year's Eve where, you hear gunfire.
You saw that where the NFL's like, it looked like, they didn't necessarily say this, but it looked like, we're going to take this in our own hands. We don't trust that you're going to get this right.
I went by and saw our friends at ATEX. I hadn't been in their office in a while, and we were just talking about the ticket industry, and I brought up the Super Bowl. And it probably is going to affect that Super Bowl price based on what happened at the Sugar Bowl.
It's going to drop it some, they think?
Yeah, probably. Unless if you get a Detroit Buffalo Super Bowl, I can't even imagine what the price point on that ticket would be.
I don't think it'll impact the ticket at all. We'll see when we get there. A sports agent talking to CBS Sports, I didn't write the sports agent's name down. It wasn't somebody I recognized. Put into dollar figures from his knowledge of the business, how much money Sam Darnold lost in the last 2 games.
So 1 year, $10 million deal this year. I think the reports were he could make upwards of $30 million a year.
Well, what did Kirk Cousins get in Atlanta? $100 million?
This sports guy tells CBS Sports he was on his way to being the next guy almost to $50 million a year. He'd have been a $40 million a year guy.
Well, then Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold did a lot of organizations a favor by playing like this the last couple of weeks.
And then the last 2 weeks, that this agent says his best case scenario, he believes, will be a Baker Mayfield like 1 year. I'll prove it to get a better deal with somebody. A 1 year contract for $6, $8, $10 million.
I'm telling you, if he goes to like Pittsburgh, it's not going to be good. Not only did he have arguably the best receiver in Justin Jefferson, but Jordan Addison, a guy that is so underrated. Aaron Jones in that backfield. Doesn't look like it now. The offensive line got dominated the last couple of weeks, but it was a solid offensive line the entire year. So he had so many weapons around him. By the way, one of the best play callers out there in Kevin O'Connell. And, now if you go to Pittsburgh with no weapons, boy, it could be a disaster. He's still going to make $10 million bucks.
There are examples of this working, like Kerry Collins was largely not very good, and then he got in the right mix at New York and took them to a Super Bowl, right?
Right. Yeah.
it occasionally works, but most of the time you are who you you've shown you are, right? And we've seen a lot of Sam Darnold in the NFL. Did anybody really think he was this other guy?
I mean, you didn't see him really get a shot in San Francisco. And go back to the Jets. I mean, like, even Aaron Rodgers can't play good quarterback there.
Yeah.
It's wild, isn't it?
By the way, nobody needs a PR person right now more than local guy George Pickens of the Steelers. He's supposed to be their go-to receiver.
George Pickens, if his head is in the game, is a great number one, but he's just so inconsistent.
The Athletic reporting this week from players, other players on the team, unnamed players, that Pickens showed up late to the Christmas Day game, even past when they had to turn in an availability report. They just guessed he'd be available, but he wasn't in the locker room yet. Mike Tomlin sets a 2-hour before kick deadline for you to be there. Pickens rolled in, according to reports, 1 hour and 25 minutes before kick is when he finally got to the stadium. And according to players in the Athletic report, he's late for practice often.
I mean, Mike
coupled that with some drops, he needs a PR team.
He definitely does. Mike Tomlin is. It's weird. He's a players coach. The players love Mike Tomlin, right? I don't know how many players have ever said anything negative about Mike Tomlin, but he also strikes me as a I ain't putting up with that, you know what type of coach. I mean, he strikes me as both, right? A player's coach, but a coach that's not going to put up with any bull crap.
Well, and that's why I thought when Pickens ended up being a Steeler that this might work out, because I thought he might buy in, and at times he does buy in. But, you know, going back to the Hoover days, we heard stories about Pickens at Georgia. I mean, how often was he on the field? He was in Kirby's doghouse more than he was on the field.
He was. Boy, you hate to see this potentially derail a guy's career. Because you're right. When he's got his head on straight, the guy can play.
More NFL with Dan Orlovsky when he joins us in the next segment. The show being brought to you today by our friends at New Life Art. New Life Art, that's where you get all the great Daniel Moore works, the history of Alabama football through the great paintbrush of Daniel A. Moore. Use that promo code TNR, and you can pick up The Legend, a tribute to Coach Nick Saban and his 6 national championships in Tuscaloosa, now a College Football Hall of Famer, calendars, and so much more that you can get on that website there. Check it all out, DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com with that promo code TNR, and also by our friends at Michelson Laser Vision.
Yeah, make that phone call that I made almost 22 years ago, 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy Tuttle. The next round, Cynthia. Dr. Mark Michelson, the first to perform the LASIK procedure in the state of Alabama way back in 1995. Dr. Jen Michelson, they are the best in the business. 205-969-8100. You can always go online for more information, michelsonlaservision.com. If you're wasting money each and every year like I did on contact solution, eyeglasses, stop procrastinating. Make the call today, 205-969-8100 or michelsonlaservision.com.
Mind-boggling to me, the names that are, as we go to the 2025 college football season, that are considered to be on the hot seat. Coaches that I don't think we ever thought we'd see their name on the college football hot seat. Bleacher Report has a list of names. I'm going to read them out to you.
Yeah, I guarantee it's going to be led with 2 fourth-year coaches.
Number 1 on their list is Lincoln Riley at USC. Is that a shock? Is that a name you ever thought you'd see on a hot seat?
I thought it was a perfect marriage going to USC with this offense and with that fan base. They were absolutely going to love him. You know, in year 1, it was smoke and mirrors. They win 11 games. They play for a conference championship. If they beat Utah and they looked like Caleb Williams was going to dominate that game in the first quarter, they would have gone to a college football playoff. And since that moment, it has gone downhill. And all we talk about is how bad the defenses have been. Defense was better this year. They just didn't get the elite quarterback play that Lincoln Riley typically gets. So that is one of those 2 guys that I was talking about going into year 4. Every year has gotten a little bit worse.
Another guy that's on this list, I'm not surprised he's on this list. It's just a brand I didn't think would be on this list. Brent Venables at Oklahoma going into 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably snatched a little capital back by beating Alabama. But if they lose that game, I mean, that is a disaster of a season. That is like the only bright spot I can find in that season is they beat Alabama and cost Alabama a spot in the college football playoff.
Well, the interesting thing is we were talking yesterday, though, about teams that were going to be dark horses to make the college football playoff.
So one guy said, yeah.
With John Mateer coming in now, you are getting an upgrade at quarterback, at least production-wise.
That only makes the seat hotter if you're not good, though.
It does, yeah. I mean, because if Venables goes 6-7 or 7-6, you know.
Luke Fickell was on this.
Real quick on Oklahoma. I was going to say, I don't know if you're going to get to him, but Oklahoma and Michigan play week 2, and I feel like the loser of that game, boy, Well, you know what? I take that back. Sharon Moore saved a lot by beating Ohio State.
And Alabama.
Nowhere near the hot seat. Sharon Moore.
I mean, another year like he just had, he would be.
Oh, yeah, he will be. If he wins only 8 games again next year, then in
2026. Luke Fickell, Wisconsin, is on that. I didn't think when he took that job he would ever be on this list.
Well, he's had to change coordinators. That's generally a sign.
Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State, on this list. Never thought he'd be on this list.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's a situation where you're kind of a victim of your own success.
Yeah.
You've been somewhere so
Super
long.
still.
You've done a really good job at, you've done kind of a B-plus job at a C-plus program, and now people want more.
And then there's Mike Norvell at Florida State.
One guy you didn't mention, we'll go back to that in a second. Mike Norvell, I don't know. Like,
the buyout was the big discussion, Lance, but I wonder with this restructured contract how that has affected the buyout, if any.
I just think it's amazing how many fan bases wanted Mike Norvell for the next coach after watching last year. He's had one great year, and he's had a good year, and then the other 2 years have been bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's obvious right now that the national championship, or not national championship, ACC championship, and would have otherwise been in the playoff as his quarterback not gotten hurt, is the outlier. I mean, that's obvious.
The guy you were going to put on the list, is it a guy we talked about earlier in the show?
Yeah. I mean, do you see who we're missing on this list?
Well, I mean, Billy Napier is missing. I mean...
Well, Billy Napier.
Why do you?
He should be on the list too.
How would you say he's not on the hot seat?
I thought he fought himself off of it.
His athletic director had to come out and say, "We're going to keep him one more year."
I do think he pulled it out of the ditch. I thought he did an incredible job, but not enough. I mean, when you look at the overall record, very tough schedule. But if he again basically goes 500, I think Billy Napier's in trouble.
Same schedule this year.
But yes, you are right of the guy I was talking about.
It's
Brian Kelly.
I
mean, and he won 9 games and. I mean, for a lot of basically, he's been James Franklin over the last 3 years. Now, that doesn't sound as good because Franklin just played for a Big Ten championship and was in the semifinals. But Brian Kelly's been winning 9, 10 games. But going back to Jacob Hester, hey, look, the last 3 head coaches here have won national championships, including Ed Orgeron. Next year he goes 500. He's out. I think there were other factors that involved in the firing of Ed Orgeron. But Brian Kelly, to me, is on a hot seat. If he was to win 8 games this year, I think he gets fired.
You think he's a hot seat?
Yeah.
If they go 8-4,
If they go 8-4, I could see it. I don't know what the buyout is. I don't know if buyout would save him.
But I kind of agree with you, Dunaway. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Brian Kelly's in this game next year.
Yeah.
So he could either be fired or be playing for the national championship, one of the two. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. Yesterday, Bill Belichick was, in fact, it was a headline on ESPN.com, was getting sort of trumpeted that he had added 2 veteran coaches to his coaching staff. But I looked at it differently. I was sitting here going, I mean, this is, what is it, January 16th? It was January 15th yesterday.
It's like he had to dig. He was like shaking things to see like coaches that didn't have jobs that would fall out.
We're still filling out coaching staffs?
Well, you're talking about some recycled guys.
Yeah, Will Friend is one of them.
Well, Will Friend's been at half the SEC schools.
He's coached a lot.
Yep, and a special teams coach from the NFL they added yesterday, and it made ESPN.com, and it was one of the headlines that Belichick added 2 veteran coaches to the staff. And I thought to myself, you're just now adding your offensive line coach.
Yeah.
What are you? This next signing period that's coming up in a few days, not going to be that big a deal for you, I guess.
Now I
feel like he's behind. Is my point.
Well, yeah, and it's been a weird situation. Like today, CBS Sports reported one of their NFL guys that Belichick hasn't signed his contract yet. So they still could be going to the NFL if one of these teams wants him. That is not at all uncommon that coaches don't sign their contract. They work under a memorandum of understanding. Basically, you're paying me this, you're paying me this. We've got to work out some of the other details. The most important thing we've worked out is how much we're getting paid, and I trust we can work out the other ones.
I know the focus.
Now, listen, the people in North Carolina have come out and said this is silly. This happens all the time in college football. Bill Belichick's coaching the North Carolina Tar Heels.
And I know the focus is going to be Bill Belichick. You can't get excited about these other hires. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if you'd have seen Dick LeBeau and Ernie Zampese. You're going to go back to the 80s. Yeah, the 80s coordinators.
He had a couple guys hit the portal. I guess they were not going to factor in, but Jacoby Criswell was one of those, the quarterback yesterday, is a portal guy from North Carolina. I just feel like he's behind a little bit, playing catch-up for year 1 there in Chapel Hill. NFL football with Orlovsky coming up on the other side. Show brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. This is The Next Round.
Follow LT on Twitter @TheLanceTaylor.
Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, equal housing lender.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemphill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemphill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemphill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemphill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
It's the O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wheels, January 31st through February 2nd at the BJCC. With customs, classics, hot rods, and more. Check out the exotic lineup in the Supercar South Hall. Sponsored by Mob Inc. And don't miss the BMX stunt team performing outrageous stunts live. Friday only, meet All Elite wrestler Christian Cage. Saturday, it's Bill Carlton from Texas Metal. And Sunday, meet Oscar from The Office. Bring the kids for free Hot Wheels racing, costume characters, rides, and more. Get discount tickets at all O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. Details at worldofwheels.net.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out TheBarnAuburn.com and CoverCrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to Fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, final hour of the show, always brought to you by our friends at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. Right now, if you were there, Tyler, you'd want what? You look like you're in a chicken finger mood today, man.
I am in a chicken finger mood. I could go for some chicken fingers, some baked beans.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, maybe if I want a little snack on the side, some finger foods, I'll go with like the sausage and cheese and pickle platter.
Oh, you nailed it there. Champy'sChicken.com to see the whole menu. Sterling and the crew on Highway 119 in Alabaster. Open right now. Go enjoy the great menu and the great customer service and the friendly face that is Sterling at Champy'sChicken.com. Orlovsky in just a second, but I want you to get used to the phrase clean cash. Clean cash.
I've seen enough movies to know. That's what Marty Byrde produced, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. He sure did.
Dennis Dodd and John Talty. The Big Ten's weaponization of clean cash, and lots of it, is shifting power dynamics from south to north. There is a perception now that, and it drives me crazy, even when, it drives Nick Saban crazy when a comedian suggests it, that the southern football teams were doing it different than the northern football teams. That somehow now that the Big Ten can legally pay players, that the power is not going to be in the South anymore. Are they going to try to sell me this big pile of horse crap that's going to tell me that Ohio State and Michigan and Notre Dame never got any payments along the way under the table? No boosters. That USC ever paid anything, that only us in the dirty South were doing it under the table? Come on. I didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday, guys.
I do think we're knee-jerk, too, because more than likely you're going to get back-to-back Big Ten teams that have won national championships, northern teams in Michigan and Ohio State. But all things equal, I mean, if you're one of these kids, you make $4 million to go to Michigan or $4 million to, Carson Beck did. Well, Carson Beck's a different story because he did have another reason for traveling down south. But I do think, it's much more appealing to play in the South, is it not?
But they're making it sound in this article about clean cash is that here's the sub-headline, and this is Dennis Dodd and John Talty, both friends of ours. The Big Ten can pay players now guilt-free.
Here's what I would say.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Come on.
Yeah.
We're all living in the same world.
Here's what I would say, though. If you were, all right, Florida and Georgia are the biggest Southern football recruiting hotbeds, right?
Yes.
If you were back in the 90s recruiting a kid from Florida and you're the University of Florida and you're recruiting against Ohio State, whose cheating is going to be easier to cover up in that state? Florida or Ohio State?
It's going to be easier to cover up in Florida.
Yeah, Florida's is going to be easier to cover up, right? Because you're dealing with Florida people that are Florida fans, and they're not likely to rat their school out for cheating. But if Ohio State comes down and says, wait a minute, you're going to Florida? How about a little more right here? Now I may turn Ohio State in. So the hotbed for recruiting is still in the South, and now it is all legal. I kind of see that side of it. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like back when there were rules against it, you were probably going to get away with it if you were doing it within your own state or near your own state. But if you were having to come in from a carpetbagger from up north and do it, your odds getting turned in probably significantly went higher. And that's not going to be the case anymore.
Now, when you get into the premise of all this discussion about the clean cash now is that the alums of these northern power schools, there's a lot more of them, and they've got a larger donor base in a lot of cases compared to some of the traditional southern football powers, that if it becomes to just a cold cash business, that Michigan and Ohio State and others are going to succeed very well down the road.
I don't think that's wrong.
I don't think it's wrong. Just look at the roster that will win the national championship on Monday night, most likely. Ohio State will have a ton of one-time SEC players on that roster.
Yeah, Ohio State, maybe their best overall player, well, second best overall player on the field is from Alabama. Or he's from Georgia, but he played at Alabama.
Yeah.
I'm saying their best is Jeremiah Smith.
Caleb
Downs probably number 2.
First team All-American. Yeah.
So big fun weekend in the NFL coming up as we get ready for 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday to set the conference championship weekend. And finally, we get to talk about, we never get to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, that franchise.
Never.
No, we finally get to talk about the Chiefs again, Brownie, this weekend.
Oh, thank God. Chiefs are back on the radar. I don't know how to do this, but Dan Orlovsky is with us from ESPN as he is on the road there, courtesy of ESPN. He says one team might be the most dangerous team left. And I don't know if Lance has seen this. Have you seen who Orlovsky said?
No.
Dan, the most dangerous team perhaps, I think you said this on ESPN this morning while we were on the show, left in the playoffs would be?
The Los Angeles Rams. Best, I'd still lean if Detroit is hot or Philly. Here's why dangerous. They got a quarterback and coach who have done it. In that moment, they've done it. They got a quarterback that, one, has gone on one of the great clutch postseason performances of all time, candidly. And they got a quarterback that wants to win so badly because he wants to go back to the place that he was kind of sent away from in a way in Detroit. Like he wants that. I think they got a young defensive line that is big and physical and nasty. I think their youth is they don't know what they don't know thing, which is a benefit for them. And I think that the quarterback and the offense, when they're on, is as good as anyone.
Yeah, and look, they don't commit penalties. Fewest penalties in the NFL. Look, it was uncharacteristic what happened on Monday night. They still win the game going away with the 10 penalties. You know, my fear for the Rams, this Rams team, is the one matchup I don't think they wanted was Philadelphia. And I do agree the coach-quarterback combo is so much better than what you've got with Hurts and Sirianni. But it just seems like when they play this Philadelphia team, which they did earlier this year, Saquon was able to run wild. I know the defense is in a different spot right now, but do you think they match up okay with Philly?
I think that they match up okay with them. You got to remember, one, there's not a ton of teams that are going to match up incredibly well with Philly. I mean, the roster's loaded, but I think to match up against Philly, you got to, one, be able to physically handle their offensive line, the athleticism and the size of them. And I think this Rams young, talented defensive line can. I think, two, you got to be really physical on the perimeter as well with, the receivers, A.J. Brown specifically. And I think Witherspoon is capable of doing that. If you watched last week in the Vikings game, he beat Justin Jefferson up at the line of scrimmage a lot. That's one of the reasons why Minnesota struggled to throw the ball so much. I think the second thing is you got to have an offensive line that could be really good against Jalen Carter. And I think that this Rams offensive line interior-wise matches up well with that. And you got to have a quarterback that knows how to play against this defense. Vic Fangio's defense is the defense coordinator in Philly. It's really challenging. They call it match principles. They don't give you many completions. Patience is a big deal. Stafford has seen it plenty of times because he was in Chicago when he was in Detroit. So I think just the knowledge that he has bodes well. Listen, it's not going to be easy. The two games that I had an absolute terrible time picking this weekend was, the Philly-Rams game and the Buffalo-Baltimore game.
Interesting that we'll get to Buffalo and Baltimore in a second. I'm interested when you win so many one possession games like Washington has, and I know there are a lot of them in the NFL, but they've won a lot of them at the buzzer. It seems like the quarterback Jayden Daniels, to be a rookie, what have you seen for him in those fourth quarter situations for them to be successful? It seems like he is a cut above some others in that situation.
Yeah, I never think the time of the clock or the quarter matter for Jayden. I just think he's running plays. He's operating and executing plays. He doesn't really allow, hey, it's the fourth quarter, there's a minute 30 left and it's 39, and if we don't get this, we're going to lose. It seems like he's first quarter, 7 minutes left, and it's 1st and 10. Like, that's just when you watch him play. It doesn't look like he's allowing the situation to dictate how he operates. I think the second part of it is, they go for it on fourth down all the time in Washington. They're the best fourth down team in the NFL. That's one of the reasons why they have so much success in those one-score games, because they're on the margins. They acquire another possession here or there, and they're confident in doing so. And Jayden's made incredible plays. So a lot of the stuff that he did at LSU that you saw on tape, you're like, man, he processes really fast. He sees things quickly. He's very accurate with the football. That's the stuff that has allowed him to have the season he's had.
I'd go for it all the time if my kicker were that nervous putting his helmet on. I've never seen anything like that, Dan. I mean, he's coming out for that game.
Fidgety.
Oh my gosh, he kept fixing his hair too. I'm like, dude, you're putting a helmet on. You have to fix your hair. Nobody's going to see it. I told my wife was in the room at the time. I was like, something's about to happen here. This guy is way too nervous getting his helmet on.
Yeah, when he was doing that, and you're like, oh my, there's no shot this ball goes in.
No.
Like this ball might get kicked into the pylon in the back corner. It's going to be off so much. And so credit to him. He made it. Obviously, the doink was even another layer of that.
Hey, who do you think, look, I mean, we're just going to go on and pencil Kansas City in. I mean, they're going to beat the Texans. I don't know, man. I would love to see the Texans pull the upset.
D'Amico Ryan's defense.
But with that said, I mean, who do you think they want to see? Like, Baltimore popped them earlier this year, right? And then they
played Baltimore week 1. That was the Isaiah Likely one toe out of bounds game. Obviously, Buffalo beat him up in Buffalo. I don't think Kansas City cares either way. I truly, in my gut, they don't care either way. I think both teams that they would have to play against, either Buffalo or Baltimore, present certain challenges to them. They also present certain challenges to those teams. And so I don't think Kansas City is, leaning one way or the other.
That 15-2 record hasn't come as easy as 15-2 looks. There've been a lot of close games there. What does the Texans do that could cause them problems, you think?
Well, if you had to ask me a defense, just structure-wise and talent-wise, that was set to give this Chiefs, specifically this one, the offensively issues, and you didn't matter jersey number or color, I would tell you, man, a defense that could have one-on-one pass rushers and mainly on the outside and take advantage of really poor tackle play. And then you would challenge them at the line of scrimmage with man coverage. You would just play because you don't fear those receivers much. Well, that's exactly what Houston does well. Both, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson last week were so dominant, and they're both healthy now. And when they're both on the field and rushing the passer, they're an issue. And then, when they're healthy on the back end, which again they are, and Stingley's locked in. Stingley and Lassiter are fantastic, both in coverage but also their ball skills. So, there's a lot just as far as the makeup of the defense in Houston that bodes well for them to match up. I actually think that they are in this game. I really do. I think they can keep this game tight. The only question I have about the game, I agree. I think Kansas City wins, but can Houston do enough on offense to keep themselves in the game in the fourth quarter? Because they're so decimated by injury. Obviously, Kansas City, a very good defense. That's the big question I have at that game.
Because I feel like what you described with Jaden Daniels is true of C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's that way, isn't he, Dan? Like, you just watch him, it doesn't feel like he's flustered by the moment to me.
Yeah, CJ is in many ways ice cold, and a lot of like Jaden. I think CJ's got the ball placement talent that Jaden has. It's one of the reasons why I loved them both coming out of school. I don't think he's obviously as dynamic with his legs, but I will say this, CJ made some big runs last week that I think will, again, have to be a part of the conversation. If this team was fully healthy in Houston and he had Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs, I think a lot of people would be giving them a significantly higher chance to win. But anytime you got a quarterback like CJ, you have a shot.
You talk about this Rams youth and they just don't know better. I'm not going to say that with Jaden Daniels. He's played in some big games, but
yeah,
I mean, does he have, we know how banged up this Detroit defense is, and Aaron Glenn did an incredible job of, week 18, what they were able to do against that Minnesota offense. But do you think Jaden Daniels has got enough to be able to go on the road? I mean, that's going to be a frenetic environment, but do you think the Commanders can pull off this upset?
Do I think they can? Sure. I don't think they do. But they present some difficulties to Detroit. One, the no-huddle offense. When you play a no-huddle offense and you play it on the road, one of the things defensively that you actually have to deal with is your home crowd being so noisy. And so that impacting you defensively and how you can communicate. And so I think there's a plus for Washington there. I'd also say Detroit wants to blitz you and play man. Jaden eats up man coverage when you blitz them. So, that's, again, something you feel good about if you're Washington. I think the two-back set in Washington with their two tailbacks is something to pay attention to. So my question, I just talked about the Houston. My question is, can Washington's defense hang on a little bit? I don't think we have 3 punts in this game. I think both offenses have some, success moving the football. And I would not be surprised if this game comes down to the fourth quarter. There's 4 minutes left. One of these teams goes for it on fourth down because they're 1-2 in the NFL when it comes to going for it on fourth down. And if they make it, they win. And if they don't, they lose.
Deion Sanders and Jerry Jones, the headlines for the last 3 days, all a smokescreen, or do you think he's really a candidate?
Oh, no, I think he's very much so a real candidate. And I've swung a little bit in the last 24 hours on that. Because Deion had come out and said, well, the only way I'll go to the NFL is I get to coach my sons, plural, both Shador and Shiloh. And Shefty today said he thinks that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys would be the one asterisk to that if it was them, it wouldn't have to be coaching both of his sons. And so that changes the conversation about it a little bit. And I think that there's a challenge there that is very intriguing to Deion. And I think Jerry Jones, it's hard to sit there and say any other candidate would make a lot more sense.
He is Dan Orlovsky. See him talking about the games all weekend on ESPN. Thank you very much for the time, Dan. Always great talking with you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the games. Dan Orlovsky with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. By the way, Ed Warder, who ironically does a podcast with our buddy Matt Mosley. If you missed the show, Matt on yesterday, he's saying this Deion Sanders thing, it's performative art. I give it a 1% shot of happening. His podcast co-host has a different report today. Ed Werder says those around Jerry Jones are encouraging him to pursue Deion Sanders and that Jerry Jones is enamored with the idea. That's from Ed Werder.
Okay, so I think it would be fun for us to see, but what's more fun, Deion still coaching in college or in the NFL?
NFL. Deion with the Cowboys would be a blast. I don't know. I mean,
Colorado goes back to being completely irrelevant. Yeah. I guess it didn't matter.
I haven't watched Colorado for 20 years. I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah, I think I would rather him be with the Cowboys. I think that would be a show.
Oh, it would be an incredible show. I mean, and we get the Cowboys all the time. I mean, their own prime time, no pun intended, but their own primetime games all the time. So you're having to watch the Cowboys anyway. It may as well be a good show, right?
God, I would hate to have to fill that job, especially at this point in the cycle.
The Colorado job?
Yeah.
No, you would have to hire from within.
And keep in mind, you got 30 days. You got 30 days for that whole roster to leave.
No, exactly. That's why you have to hire from within.
Juju Smith's gone.
Yeah. You would have to immediately promote somebody from within, whether you wanted them or not.
I mean, all these guys are gone. I mean, it's the only reason people are going to Colorado. Caden Salter, who's transferring in from Liberty, he's not going to go there.
I mean, they could have no team.
Yeah. It would be a disaster. And
it would be.
I do think that is probably the biggest reservation for Deion.
To crater Colorado after he'd been there?
Yeah, because they gave him his first real shot. Without that shot.
And really, truthfully, it'd make all of us who said that's what he would do right.
Yeah.
Because we all said he would be there for Shadur's 2 years and then leave.
And how many times has he said, hey, man, I'm here for the duration.
My kickstand's down.
Yeah.
Sounds so weird when you say it, but that is what he said.
That's what he said.
I know.
I didn't say it.
I know. I'm just saying it sounds weird when you say it.
My kickstand's never down, man. Wait. I don't know. Is it? The show brought to you by our friends at Hemphill. Let us know. Heating, cooling, plumbing, they do it all.
Yeah, 205-229-2090. Trust the name Birmingham has trust since 1954 for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling issues. Any arise, call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys. Coming out to my house later today. Just let them know the next round sent you. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
So tell me, Chiefs, three-peat, real or not? Are they in the mix here?
They're in the mix because, they get a great draw with Houston, and Houston already pulled up a mini upset. I know they were at home, but they were catching points against the Chargers. So I don't think Houston has a shot at all in this game. And then it comes down to you're going to get a team that beat you in Buffalo and a team that could have easily beaten you in Baltimore. I think that game's going to be a pick. Like, it's a pick right now basically in Buffalo with Baltimore there. And I think whoever wins this game, Baltimore or Buffalo, going to Arrowhead, it will be a pick. And I actually think, obviously Kansas City's good enough to win this whole thing, but I do think the winner of this game this weekend is going to beat Kansas City.
So no on the three-peat for you.
I say no.
Yes. And you still have to factor in, once you get to the Super Bowl, you got to beat the NFC champs. So we don't know who that's going to be yet. Brown, do you feel like this Kansas City three-peat, obviously it's still alive, but do you feel like it's reality yet? Like this is history if it happens.
What's the point spread for either Buffalo or Baltimore going there?
That's why I said pick.
Pick?
Yep.
Either one's a pick.
Either one's a pick.
Then
they got to win the Super Bowl.
There's a reason nobody ever does this, right?
I'll tell you this. If as a Rams fan, I don't think the Rams get past this weekend. I'm not just saying that. But if the Rams were to match up with somebody in the Super Bowl, I would much rather have the Chiefs than Baltimore or Buffalo.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You'd rather be trying to beat the Chiefs than Baltimore?
Yes.
Buffalo has a long history of messing this up.
I know, but I saw Josh Allen, and the Rams had to do everything they could to outscore that guy. That guy, when he gets on a roll, and I know it's Pat Mahomes, 15-3 in the postseason. I would say winning three consecutive Super Bowls is nearly it is impossible.
Obviously, if I were having to pick a quarterback to finish out from here on, I'm picking Mahomes. The record says it, but Stafford is easily second of everybody left. I don't.
I would rather have Josh Allen than all.
No, I'd go Stafford with his postseason. That's I'm looking at what they do in the postseason.
I know, but I just can't get Josh Allen out of my head how good he's been this year.
Listen to me now. If I'm building a franchise, I will probably take Josh Allen. But I'm talking to finish out from this point on, I would go Stafford over Josh Allen just because of his success in the postseason.
Your point is Josh Allen's 1-4.
That's right, and Lamar Jackson has. Those are phenomenal quarterbacks that I'd love to have on my team. But those guys do not deliver in the postseason. And Matt Stafford does. Say what you want. Matt Stafford and Sean McVay deliver in the postseason.
I mean, you're right. I mean, that's the biggest knock. And, that's the unfortunate thing about not getting home field for one of these two teams. Either Lamar or Josh Allen is not going to make it out of the divisional round again.
I know. It's crazy to think about, as good as those guys are.
I just think, the three of them have had to collide in this round so much.
It's brutal.
It's limited each other.
Yeah, and that's why the number one seed, especially in the NFC, is so important, where you can avoid, where you only have to play one of those guys.
Do y'all find it odd that Todd Monken today is interviewing for the Jags job and tomorrow is interviewing for the Bears job, and then Sunday is coaching a team against the Bills?
Yeah.
Do you not find that odd?
It bothers me, actually.
It bothers me, too. Like, if I'm a Ravens fan, good for Todd, but we are paying you to be our offensive coordinator, and I can only imagine that John Harbaugh's like, he can do both. I'm fine with it, which I would trust Harbaugh there, but boy, as a fan, if our offense struggles at Buffalo.
That's what everybody will be talking about.
No doubt.
It would bug me to no end.
It would. And that's an Adam Schefter report. I mean, that's pretty good source telling you that. Probably came straight from agents.
One more NFL note here, by the way, with the NFL draft deadline, the door now closed to enter the NFL draft. There'll be a couple of more names trickled out that decided to go. But Travis Hunter, according to the first three NFL teams that the people doing the report at The Athletic talked with, said they are grading him this way: as a cornerback who can take some snaps at wide receiver.
Yep.
Nobody's grading him as a wide receiver. Nobody's grading him as a 50-50 player. That most NFL teams are going to grade him as a corner who can take some wide receiver snaps. Do you think that's fair? And do you think that's how he ends up playing the game?
Well, I think it's interesting that's kind of the take now, because Joel Klatt told us earlier this season, like, one of his things he likes doing is walking around and talking to different scouts about Travis Hunter. And, they ultimately said Travis Hunter is going to play basically every snap. Like, he's going to play wide receiver. He's going to be, a starting wide receiver and a starting cornerback. And, that seemed impossible at a time. But if somebody's going to pull it off, it could be Travis Hunter. I don't know. I mean, that was what's so appealing about the guy.
Would you want the best receiver in the game right now is
Justin Jefferson?
Would you want him or Pat Surtain?
I would rather have.
I'm assuming Pat Surtain. I mean, the guy's All-Pro, Pro Bowl, highest paid. I'm assuming he's considered the best CB.
I would probably go Justin Jefferson.
I think would rather have the best wide receiver, but if he's not the best wide receiver, I'd rather have the best corner, and I think he's closer to being the best corner than he is.
I think you're right about that.
I think the best wide receiver can make more of an impact.
He probably can. Dunaway's hit it though. I feel like Travis Hunter could be Pat Surtain easier than it could be Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think what the NFL teams are telling us here, we're grading him as a corner who can take some wide receiver snaps because he is a better corner. He's an elite corner. He is a top tier, but not elite wide receiver.
Yeah. And I want him to play, obviously, where he's going to be his absolute best if I'm going to invest that kind of money in him.
Yeah, I need that kind of snaps from him. All right, trash coming up in the next segment. One more thing to get to here in this segment, the show being brought to you by our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. UCA, we like to call them, 16 locations. Find the nearest one close to you by going to the website, urologycentersalabama.com. urologycentersalabama.com to schedule an appointment or to find out more. Urologists standing by to treat all your urological needs, from prostate health to kidney stones, vasectomies, and everything else. It's urologycentersalabama.com. Details out on the Kenny Dillingham contract at Arizona State. Starting next year, $5.8 million a year at Arizona State.
It's a lot of money in Tempe.
It is, and that only goes up from there at $5.8 million a year.
Yeah, I'm sure that thing is incentive laced too. Like, if he was ever to get back to a college football playoff, which, I don't want to doubt the guy, but doesn't seem likely.
I mean, they've got an automatic bid, but it is hard to get back there. But a good contract there for Kenny Dillingham. Missouri made headlines yesterday. The school now, this used to be frowned upon when the school would give money to the athletic department because the athletic department was bringing in so much money. And it got to the point where athletic departments were making so much money, they were giving money to the schools.
Yeah, donating scholarships, basically. Yeah,
and building buildings for the schools. Missouri yesterday donated $40 million of the school money to athletics.
Well,
it's basically saying the time is now for us to invest in athletics so that we can be a bigger part of the future.
This is somewhat akin to what Georgia Tech has decided to do, which is really help Brent Key. It's one reason if you want to buy a future on somebody that's low right now, Georgia Tech might be a team to buy. Because their school basically said, we will match NIL funds. If you donate to the NIL, we'll match it from the school endowment. There's no telling what the endowment is at Georgia Tech. I mean, they put out a ton of high-dollar grads. And basically the school has been like, athletics can help us grow. It can help us, so we'll be a partner with them instead of competing against them.
That's right.
And the more you see schools do that, some of these big endowment schools, that could change a school's football program in a hurry if they get matching dollars from the school endowment.
Yeah. Speaking of Georgia Tech, Forrester, I don't know if you have it. I saw earlier today Georgia Tech. What's the helmet that helps protect the
Guardian helmet?
Guardian helmet. Yeah. This is the 2.0 version. Georgia Tech's the first one to have it. It's not a cover. This is actually attached. It is a helmet that is built like that. I do think that looks better than the cover they put on it now, just to go ahead and make it the color of the helmet. I don't know if they decided if it's helping or not helping with concussions or not.
Well, were you watching the Packers-Eagles game? The one receiver wearing a Guardian helmet went out with a concussion.
I think it was Jalen Reed.
Yeah, he hit his head. I mean, he hit his head hard on the ground.
He did, but I mean, I thought that's what this whole thing is for.
I mean, I don't think anything could be 100% preventative.
And
maybe this
that's
is better.
One of the few skill guys that's running around with the Guardian helmet.
I know you don't see many. Like Devin Achane for Miami wore one, but he only wore it half the season. Like midway through the season, he took it off. So maybe he was in some sort of concussion, risk. I don't know. But you're right. You don't see a ton of skill guys wearing it.
And then maybe the worst basketball game ever played. What was the free throws? Alabama, Texas A&M.
88.
Was it 88?
Yeah.
Yeah, 88. Give me Forrester's mic because I want Forrester to give me some of the numbers here on this one. Now, Forrester, did you watch this game at your house the other night? Did you tell me?
I think this one might have been on the Ocho, which I don't get.
It wasn't a good matchup, but it was iconic in free throws. Pop it up for us. Who played in the game?
This is UMass and Fordham. You guys all tuned in, right?
Yeah, man. Was that on NBC Sports Network? Maybe.
Sure.
So that says 122 free throws attempted in that game.
Is that a lot?
They go to overtime?
They did go to
Three
overtime.
Three
I was about
overtimes.
to say,
That makes sense.
41-39 in overtime. That ain't a 5-minute session.
Yeah, I just noticed. I just now saw the score in overtime, 41-39.
79 personal fouls. 10 players fouled out of that game.
I mean, the overtime periods outscored the first half. That's a lot of overtime basketball.
Crazy game there.
122 free throws. That's unwatchable.
That is a lot of free throws.
How long did that game last, I wonder?
Too long.
Yeah.
Probably almost as long as the Alabama-Texas A&M game
Good
did.
Lord, that was a 3-hour marathon there.
Yeah. All right, trash on the other side. This is the next round. We're back in a moment on TNR.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Brown Live.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone, the New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short-notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
You could win a Cadillac CT5 or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can be a winner too. Come win your share during the Cadillac CT5 and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by, ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Before Brownie tells us about JohnsonRVCenter.com, they'll get you on the move in 2025. A couple of people on the move. Former Georgia edge rusher Damon Wilson, a one-time five-star recruit now, and considered to be the second best player in the portal, had committed yesterday and now has officially signed with Missouri. So a five-star edge to Missouri. But one thing we've learned about Missouri since they've been to the SEC, they've been pretty good on the edge, haven't they?
Well, their defensive front seven was what blows me away from the time Coney Ely, was that his name?
Michael Sam,
Coney Ely. I mean, they have been so good in the defensive front seven.
Georgia Tech has picked up Kobe Jones. He is going to be the new corners coach. He was at Alabama working with DB coach Maurice Linquist this past year in Tuscaloosa. He's now at Georgia Tech. And then we told you yesterday about Omari Evans, the best wide receiver for Penn State, at least statistical this year, hitting the portal. He's going to search these schools out. Syracuse with Fran Brown, who won the Bear Bryant Young Coach Award, being the successful first-year head coach. Texas Tech, who must really have a great collective going. They seem to be in on every recruit.
Where do you assume the money comes from?
Oil.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton. His landman money.
Yeah. Fracking. Washington and Tennessee. That's where he's going to go. One of those four schools.
That's a random collection of schools.
It really is.
Texas Tech, Washington, and Tennessee.
But it does feel like, why not end up at Tennessee? But would he even be in a better quarterback situation if he leaves Drew Aller and 0 catches in the last playoff game for any wide receiver at Penn State? Would he be in a better quarterback situation with Nico Amalieva next year?
Nico's development has been odd to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Or lack thereof, I guess you would say, wouldn't you, Lance?
Yep.
And especially with Heupel thought to be this offensive genius and running this system nobody wanted to face, and then it has just kind of been stuck in mud with Nico.
Yeah, sort of stuck with Nico.
Well, I mean, they were a better defensive team than they were offensive team this year.
JohnstonRVCenter.com brings you part of the show. Trash in just a second.
I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. They are clearing off the 24s, making room for the 25s. That means savings for you, like the Shasta 16RE, just $149 a month with approved credit. The Avenger 29 QBS sleeps up to 10, just $279 a month with approved credit. Lifetime warranty on anything that is new. Our qualifying pre-owned from RV Warranty Forever. You get all of that right there at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, JohnstonRVCenter.com.
24 days until
24 days Super Bowl.
Second National Signing Day.
Both of those could be both true.
No, I think I'm a little too strong on 24 days.
24 days until spring training. Your Dodgers talked to Roki Sasaki, the 23-year-old flamethrower from Japan. They may end up getting him. Apparently, he's an amazing pitcher. But the A's did something. The A's are in business. They signed straight out of high school 18-year-old Shotaro Mori from Japan. The first Japanese high schooler not to go to the Japanese Pro League, to sign straight out of high school with a Major League Baseball team, signs a minor league contract, gets a $1.5 million bonus.
Look,
he's a dual threat guy. He's a shortstop and a pitcher.
We know these scouts were infamous back in the day for going to the Dominican, the old DR, and signing guys when they were 15, 16. This will probably be the new way to do it. Instead of paying these rights to these teams,
let them go to the Japanese league first, and then having to pay more to sign these kids straight out of high
early.
School.
Yeah, roll the dice. Pay 1.5 instead of paying $200 million to one of these clubs.
Yeah, he's the first to do this, to skip it.
Won't be the last.
He's being frowned upon in Japanese media, that it could be the something that hurts the Japanese professional league.
Because he'll never play over there, ever.
Yeah,
unless he flames out here.
Yeah, but to LT's point, they make a lot of cash on the back end from Major League Baseball clubs. That gets us to Trash Today, brought to you by Mortgage Right. Tyler, you got Supreme gear on today? You do. You do.
Just only a shirt and a hat.
Yeah.
Do you have Supreme pants? Do they make pants?
They do make jeans. Not wearing any today, though.
Okay, but you do own a pair.
You know why he doesn't have Supreme jeans on today?
Why?
His balls are hot. Hit him, Tyler.
I understand.
I'm here with the winner, Derek Lewis. Derek, why'd you take your pants off? My balls was hot. I understand.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Hey, and they are your mortgage experts. Whether you're looking for your first home or your final home, no cost or obligation to reach out and see what you might qualify for. 205-900-7200, mortgageright.com, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. We have an update. The Eagles fan that has been fired has broke his silence on the video.
He's going to tell us what the woman said that made him say this, right?
Ryan Caldwell, the disgraced Eagles fan who was captured on video heckling Allie Keller, female Packers fan, and repeatedly called her a dumb "see you next Tuesday," issued an apology after he was fired from his job with a DEI-focused company and banned from all future events at Lincoln Financial Field. Caldwell explained in a statement to the New York Post, "Video circulating online, quote, does not reflect the full context of what transpired. My actions were not without provocation in the incident, which took place during the wild card game this past weekend." He went on to say, quote, "While attending an NFL game last Sunday to support my Eagles, an incident occurred that I deeply regret. What began as banter with two Packers fans sitting near me escalated to something more serious. I said things that were unacceptable. In the heat of the moment, I chose words to address one of the fans, Miss Allie Keller. I want to sincerely apologize to Miss Keller for those words and to my family, friends, former employer, colleagues, Packer fans, Eagles fans, Philadelphia Eagles, City of Philadelphia, Charles Barkley." No, he didn't say that.
Quakers.
"And all who were offended." He said, "That said, there are two sides to every story. Video clip circulating online does not reflect the full context of what transpired. My actions were not without provocation. I will live with this experience, certainly paying a personal price. For those who don't know me, this incident does not reflect my values or the respect that I have for others and is not indicative of the person that I am. Look, there are two sides to every story. We said this, right?
Yep.
Just terrible look.
It is. I mean, unfortunately, his side of the story, or I guess her side, I don't know which, got caught on video. And that's the unfortunate thing for him. Like, I don't know what she said to provoke that. It's going to have to go a long way to provoke what he said to her.
Yeah,
I mean, that's going to have to go a long way to get to that point.
He seems like a complete goon, but at the same time, should the guy's life be completely trashed for an altercation?
Yeah, but on the other side of that, we talked about it. I mean, is that the face of your business? No. I mean, that's the other side of it from his employer.
And do you want that to be your fan experience if you're the NFL?
Nope. I mean, I can see.
Again, I think being banned from the stadium is great. For him to lose his job, I don't know. I mean, again, you don't want him representing your company, so it's a tough situation. But if he was good enough to work for your company and be, a productive employee for years and years and years, I don't know.
I mean, I hate that all too often now as a society, because a lot of the proliferation of video and social media, video and ability to quickly share video, all too often we are judged by our worst moment.
Yep.
And this could have been this guy's worst moment of his life.
Yeah, I mean, this guy might be a good dude.
Could be otherwise good dude, had a little too much to drink maybe, or just got pushed too far maybe and said stuff he regrets now.
You probably have heard this. You both have. If you took one video of me talking to an employee at DirecTV back in the day when things went bad.
Oh, no.
And you showed that. I mean, people would be like, this guy is horrific.
Yeah.
Yes. No, yeah.
But I hate it that all too often now I think a lot of society is judged by their worst moment. And I don't think we should ever judge anybody by their worst moment. I mean, worst moment's the worst moment for a reason, right?
Yeah, look,
now, if your worst moment's killing 30 people, I can judge you. I can judge you on that one.
But let's not forget that he has a family. He's got a wife and kids.
That's right.
How much are they affected by this? Again, anyway, it goes deep. Timothy Chalamet, you guys fans?
Don't really see enough of his work.
Don't know that I've seen him in anything.
He was a pretty surprisingly good picker on College Game Day.
Oh, did he get a lot right?
Yeah, but
I don't know if
SEC Championship weekend.
He did a really good job, and I guarantee you what happened behind the scenes. And he might be a huge football fan. I don't know. But if I'm his representation, hey, dude, you've got the women in your corner. A lot of guys think you're soft. Come out here, show some knowledge on the set. I think you're going to win some of these fans over. So I think he did his homework. He was ready to roll.
Yeah, somebody did his homework. Read the script.
Yeah,
I'm surprised more people don't do that.
He was more prepped than any that I've ever seen on that set.
Read the script, Timmy.
Did Terry Saban end up winning the whole?
Oh, no. She got beat by somebody earlier in the season. She dropped to second. And then I think Chalamet, it wasn't the same equal number of games.
Yeah, so he didn't
To keep a scoreboard, they need to come up with the same set number of games each week.
Well, Chalamet is doing a global press tour for Complete Unknown. It went viral when he rode an electric Lime bike into the London premiere of the acclaimed Bob Dylan movie. But it turns out Chalamet did not park the bike properly, was met with a 60-pound fine. He revealed while promoting the movie in France on a talk show that fine equates to $73.45 US dollars. He went on to say, quote, "It's ecological." Chalamet said when he was asked about his decision to ride the electric bike, then he admitted it all came down to beating traffic in order to make it to the premiere on time. He decided to hop a bike instead of taking a car.
I have not seen anything this guy's in, though Melton told me I would like Dune. Did you not tell me that, Milton, or was it Tyler that told me I would like Dune?
It's not me. I hate
I would
Dune,
not have
though.
recommended you Dune.
Yeah. Well, who told me I would like Dune?
I thought Dune, the original Dune was awful. I thought the new Dune was pretty good. Dune 2 was really good. And I was impressed. He played a dude that could handle himself. He was really good in Lady Bird, his small part, but I haven't seen a lot of his work. My daughter absolutely loves the dude.
Yeah, Ush, I think, told you you'd like Dune.
I don't know.
He's great in a movie called Beautiful Boy with Steve Carell. He's fantastic, where he battles substance abuse, and I just thought it was a great performance. So check that out if you're into something a little bit more serious.
Is he a beautiful boy?
He is.
Okay.
Do you desire to see this Bob Dylan movie?
I don't. I will see it at some point when it comes on to something that I'm bored one day in a streaming service. I won't go to a theater.
So
to watch
that
it.
is an overwhelming endorsement for this
I
movie.
hate Bob Dylan's music, so the film has no appeal to me.
Me neither.
It's called a biop. Is that what this is?
Biopic.
There
That's,
you go.
When you make a movie about somebody's life.
Yeah.
Biopic, not a biop. Biopsies.
It's a pretty
So
understandable.
Dunaway brings us this one. Lazio is apparently a Italian soccer club. They have fired the man who handled the Eagle mascot after he posted photos. Looks a little like Dana White.
A bit. So is this the photo that got him in trouble?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, well, we can't show the
Oh,
photo that got him in
no.
trouble.
But I'm going to tell you, when I first read this story, I had to read it a couple of times because I was a little confused at first. Tell them what happened, and I'll tell you where I got confused.
He posted photos and videos online of his own prosthetic penis.
Yes.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
I need the backstory here. Do we
Now,
have the backstory?
Juan Bernabe is the guy. He shared the images on his private social media accounts after undergoing surgery for a penile implant, which he said was for non-medical reasons.
Sure.
Now, I would be impressed if the Eagle landed on it.
Yeah, that would be different.
He's excited for the game?
And then you got to keep him around. You're like, damn, this dude is tough.
Yeah.
When I'd already copied to send it to you, but as I was reading it, because just the headline, I was like, this is trash, I'm going to send it to Tyler. I had to read it a couple of times because the one I read, the first couple of times, it read to me like he was the guy in charge, and their Eagle flies like at Jordan Hare, it flies before the game, and like somehow this guy was posting creepy pictures of the Eagles junk. And I was thinking he was pulling back feathers and taking a picture and sending it, and I was like, well, I mean, this is weird and probably uncomfortable for the bird, but should the guy be fired for this?
It was
Well, he went on
is there an OnlyFans page for people that want to see Eagles junk?
Only feathers.
He gave an interview to a controversial Italian radio show, elaborating on his reasons for undergoing the procedure. Quote, he added that he felt very proud, more masculine being part of Lazio. Now, the club clearly did not feel the same as it fired the Spaniard shortly afterwards. Now, there has been an update on this.
Okay.
Reports out of Italy indicate the man, Juan Bernabe, is refusing to accept being fired by Lazio. He has barricaded himself and his robotic penis inside.
Robotic?
The Eagle handler has reportedly been living in Lazio's team facilities for the last 15 years and has now locked himself inside an outbuilding, refusing to leave until the team accepts his apology for posting photos of his robo-penis online and reinstates him. I don't know if I can believe this anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe this. Now, Jay says if you've seen the pic online, you'll believe the Eagle could land on it, so there must be pics there. Have you seen the picture, Tyler?
I have not. I didn't go looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Do y'all want me to take one for the team here?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. What's the old boy's name? You threw it away already.
Juan Bernabe. Bernabe.
Okay, Juan Bernabe photo. All I had to type was 1B and Google.
It popped up?
Yeah.
I mean, he's showing it like he's showing the image of it just by doing the full-out extension of the arm. Right?
I did an image search. There's nothing on there that shows anything. There's a picture of him in a hospital bed with a doctor.
Yeah. Pre or post surgery.
Look
at the blanket. You'll know.
It's unclear.
Exactly. If he's pitching a tent, it's post surgery.
Yeah, there's nothing there. I don't really want to see it anyway. Robotic was the one thing it's interesting. I don't really want to see
I cannot believe I have lived this long and I had no idea, because I was talking to Brown about this at trivia last night, that there are people out there that believe Michelle Obama is a man, and there's these photos like.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it
but
really
you saw the photos,
well,
right?
I
was like,
I think that had probably been altered.
It's got to be.
It's video.
Yeah, Tyler's shaking his head. Have you heard this?
Yeah, the Big Mike theory.
The Big Mike, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd never heard this.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. People be zooming in 100 times on a photo, looking for a bulge. It's hilarious.
I know.
How about this headline? Florida woman used cane with hidden blade to murder husband, then claimed he, quote, fell on it during a diabetic episode that didn't exist, according to police.
What did not exist? The diabetic episode?
Florida woman charged with second-degree murder after her husband died of injuries that were allegedly inflicted by a cane affixed with an illegal blade. Terry Taylor, 58, remains in custody after police charged her in the death of her husband, Stanley Taylor, 67. According to a news release posted by the Boca Raton Police Services Department Facebook, officers responded to a medical emergency at their address 10:30 a.m. on January 13. When they arrived, they found Stanley Taylor suffering from stab wound to the torso. Terry Taylor had allegedly told neighbors to call police and to tell them that her husband had, quote, fallen on a knife.
Oh.
Look how rough she is.
Yeah, boy.
Is she, obviously she's not going to take it anymore. Is she a twisted sister?
It is like Sammy Hagar's hair.
It is.
I mean.
Now, according to the probable cause affidavit, Terry Taylor claimed to her neighbor that her husband was, quote, cutting something in the kitchen and fell on a kitchen knife. She also said that Stanley Taylor was having a diabetic episode. Now, police say that while Stanley Taylor was receiving medical treatment, he said that it was his wife who had attacked him, stating, quote, "That bitch stabbed me."
Oh, no.
Claimed that she tried to kill him. When police spoke with Terry Taylor, she allegedly admitted to the physical altercation that sparked by an argument over a stereo system which belonged to her father that her husband had sold to his brother. During the altercation, Terry Taylor claimed that her husband stabbed himself because he blacked out after what happened. Now, here's the problem. Once they did medical tests, they saw that there was no diabetic shock. And that his blood test, he was not experiencing from any episode.
There you go.
So she was charged with second-degree murder and booked into Palm Beach County Jail.
And that blood in the blades of that cane probably gave it away, too.
Finally, officials arrested Ryan Howard, not the former Philadelphia Philly.
He was a slugger.
Several charges involving what officers describe as guns, green, and gators.
Now, is this real or is this AI?
Now, according to the
Yes, this is real.
Okay.
Picayune Police Department, an investigation began after tips came in about Howard being involved in illegal activity. Now, during the investigation, deputies with the sheriff's office arrested Howard after he allegedly was with his minor child in a car transporting 80 pounds of marijuana.
This is Lance's least favorite movie, Crocs in the Hood.
Dude, those eyes.
It's literally the crocodile hunter.
Yeah. Like, if I'm going to make an AI, I'm going to do something weird like this and have that guy creep around the city.
See, this is what AI should be used
I
for.
agree. I agree.
I have no
It's good, clean
problems
fun.
with this being used.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, Tyler.
Now, during the investigation, they said that 80 pounds of marijuana were in the car. Deputies in Louisiana then provided information to the Picayune Police Department, which led to a search warrant. According to the authorities, officers found 51 pounds of marijuana, 3 vials of marijuana seeds, anabolic steroids, 6 ounces of mushrooms. Also, they found 14 firearms and 8 alligators in the backyard pool.
We just call that Monday Night Raw in wrestling, isn't that right? All that stuff. Is that it?
That's it.
That is Trash Today, brought to you by
our friends at Mortgage Right. They are the mortgage experts. Whether you're looking for your first home or your final home, these guys are there to help. No cost or obligation. 205-900-7200 or mortgageright.com.
Is it Cat Williams that does the comedic bit on how pissed the crocodiles were that a stingray killed Steve Irwin? Like all the crocodiles wanted their shot at him and it ended up being a stingray. I think it's Cat Williams.
Silly Barb.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty funny. I can't remember the comedian.
Bob Uecker passing away today at the age of 90. We'll end the show with some Bob Uecker thoughts here. Everybody remembering the fun-loving guy. I was a fan. I liked him. Do you like him?
I liked him a lot. Yeah, I thought he was great. You know, we all go back to Major League as a kid watching that movie, and I remember the old Miller Lite commercials with Bob Uecker for forever.
Must be in the front row.
Yeah.
Is that the old commercial?
Yep,
Yeah.
that was it.
Yep.
Some great Bob Uecker quotes. When I came up to bat with 3 men on, 2 outs in the 9th, I looked at the other team's dugout, and they were already in street clothes. Really good. The way to catch a knuckleball is to wait until it stops rolling and then pick it up. That was one of his famous lines there. He was really underrated as a play-by-play guy.
Oh, yeah.
I know he played a play-by-play guy in Major League, but with the Brewers, he was really good.
Well, when they were doing the simulcast, early on in the extra innings package on DirecTV, I would catch, some Brewers games because I had a good buddy that actually played second base for the Brewers, so I would watch a lot of their games, and, man, he was fantastic. He was a great storyteller. He was like a funny, poor man's Vin Scully.
Yeah,
really,
but there was a generation, like I think we've gotten away from this. Most of the time you don't know who the baseball announcer is anymore.
That's right.
But the Harry Careys and Bob Ueckers of the world, who were there kind of for the entertainment. I mean, they were good at what they did, but they also had an entertaining side. Like, you could watch if you didn't have any interest in the game just because they were funny.
Oh, yeah. And some of the, incredible, like how you can have that many stories. So, he does 162 games a year, and he does it for 3 decades, and he has a different story every night.
I know. It's amazing. He was still working for the Brewers last year, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I think he worked right up until his death, unfortunately.
Play-by-play until the end.
Yeah.
I think my top salary was maybe in 1966. I made $17,000 that year. 11 of that came from selling other players' equipment.
Selling other players' equipment.
Yeah.
No, he was one of a kind, man. That's a big loss for the Brewers. I mean, He's Mr. Brewer, too. Like, he might be the face of that franchise. Robin Yount was a great brewer.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Paul
Paul Molitor. But when I think of the Brewers, I really do think of Bob Uecker before I think of anybody. He's probably the face of that franchise.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I can't think of anybody else that is a bigger name that's a Brewer than him.
He and this is no joke. I saw he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, right? Mostly for his broadcasting career.
Yeah.
His career highlight, and he doesn't joke about this. I think my career highlight was getting intentionally walked by Sandy Koufax. Situational baseball. Had to walk him to load the bases up.
That's still a flex, right?
Yeah, Sandy Koufax. He didn't walk a lot of guys.
Bob Uecker passing away today at age 90. One of those great baseball legends for many, many, many people there, especially for all you Brewer fans there. Actually played for the Milwaukee Braves, so part of the Braves organization. All right, before we get out of here, countdown to the national championship coming up on Monday night, Ohio State and Notre Dame. We talked earlier in the show about that with Jacob Hester. You can go back and get that podcasted. Frank Leahy, Ara Parsegian, Dan Devine, Lou Holtz, the last 4 coaches to win the national championship at Notre Dame. And they all did it in their 3rd season, the same one Marcus Freeman is in. Pretty amazing.
Oh, interesting.
Still don't give him a chance. It would be amazing if he wins this national championship, because we've said what Jacob Hester said earlier on the show. Brian Kelly got him to this spot. So I don't know how different it's going to be. Like, they have one playoff game, so it does feel a little different. But if he wins this thing, it feels a lot different.
What was the point margin of that Notre Dame-Alabama game?
The final score?
Yeah.
Wasn't it 41-14?
35, something like that.
I think it was 41-14. I think it was the final, maybe.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Is there a chance that's the type of score we have?
42-14, maybe. Something like that. You think so? That's going to be so disappointing. We get one more college game, and that's what we're going to have to watch.
Now, look, I mean, that Al Golden defense is incredible. So, like, they force a couple of turnovers. They're able to effectively run the football. They don't get in a hole. You know, it could be a little different. You heard Hester. He thinks they're going to be within the number.
He thinks they'll cover, yeah. All right, that's the show. We're back with you tomorrow. Don't forget Bama and Bourbon's out there later tonight. Little T and I will record another The Basketball Show. It'll be ready for you for your drive to work tomorrow or tour the arena on Saturday. Enjoy your night, and we'll see you at 9 a.m. Central Time live for the next show tomorrow. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.